Hey, what's up, guys? Hartman here. Uh, we're gonna be doing some eliminators today. Unfortunately, the lobby's looking a little bit empty right now. Hopefully, early next week we're getting some more. Probably some more lower stakes contests. Not really many of them in the lobby right now. I still do have a few pit bulls left to do. I still got two of those, but we'll mostly be focused on the eliminator today. Um, so I'll stop in, say what's up to you guys, and then we'll probably hop right in. Then I'll kind of just talk about the format, stuff like that. But what's up, Gunner Ross, GM? Hey, thanks for stopping by, bro. Appreciate it. Zero fucks, what's up, my boy? Hey, what's up, Zero? Thanks for stopping by, bro. Appreciate it. All right, so we'll just go ahead. We'll hop right into the eliminator. I'll count it down if anyone wants to hop in. But we're gonna go in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, we're in, waiting for one if anyone wants to hop in the eliminator. So I haven't done too many eliminators yet. I've only done about 4 or 5. I am for the most part gonna hold off on them till later in the summer. I do think in general a big thing with the eliminator is you only play your draft pod for the first week, right? And then it's just the head-to-heads. So, in my opinion, I think you want the most info versus the field just in general when you're drafting them. But I do understand like drafting early, you can get some like unique ADP value, stuff like that. But in general, this is a tournament I'm going to try to wait to do like the bulk of any volume I do. But with a little bit less offered in the lobby right now, we'll definitely rip a couple today. All right, let's see who we got in here. So we got Zero at the 1, we got Kale Elliott at the 4, I'm at the 6, we got RB1, Drew at the 9, and I think that's it. But all right, so we got some friends and family in here, so it should be pretty fun. But in the eliminator, I guess there's a couple big things. Like I think they're pretty obvious, but obviously you can't stack up buys, especially with early capital, right? Like if you want to try to stack up the super late buys like week 14, week 13, something like that, and you want to just play for that as your cash, that could be a strategy. But in general, if you're trying to win it all, you're trying to build the, team that makes it all the way through, you really want to vary those buys, especially with your early capital. And especially at the same position, right? Maybe having like a tight end, a quarterback, and a running back all at the same buy isn't a big deal. But we'll go CMC. I have a little bit less of him. I think they have a pretty good early schedule. Uh, and I think this is a good format for him, right? He should come out of the gate pretty good, high workload. Um, but yeah, I think if you split those buys up at different positions, you can be okay, because you could have different stacks that kind of get you out of it and stuff, and no one position's getting too weak from that. But I think especially stacking up buys at the same position can get you in a lot of trouble, especially if you do it early. If you're losing like two of your top three running backs or something in a week, then it's going to be really hard to advance out of that week unless you get lucky with the matchup. Um, so I don't know. I think that's a big thing. Obviously, in this format, running backs are pushed up because those projected points matter so much more. So, like, I like to try to get my running backs a little bit earlier. I think most people do, but I really don't like paying the increased prices in like the 6th round if I can avoid it, where those guys kind of get pulled up like Ramondre, Pollard, Jalen Warren, those kind of guys. I prefer to try to get my running backs a little bit earlier and not pay those prices, kind of wait a little bit, get back in at running back around like that 90 to 100 range. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that's, you know, I don't think there's too much to the eliminator strategy that's different. I think it's just like you can really hone in on that early season schedule if you want. That can be pretty big too, especially if there's some teams you want to target more certain players. I think you can definitely move some guys up and down, for that kind of stuff. But I think the biggest thing just to like build decent teams is don't get left too far behind at running back. Like make sure you have some projectable points and then just don't stack up those buys, especially at a single position. I think like if you just do that, you'll at least have like somewhat competitive teams. And then I think you can get more into like the what early season schedules do you like, dislike, how much do you want to weight that in. Um, all right. So here, we want to go double running back. I think I think I can probably wait. We'll go Drake London. We'll just get like a super consistent, locked in, high target floor receiver. Different buy than my first pick, like I was saying, but I think Drake London feels pretty good in the Eliminator. He can kind of be like a hero receiver for me, kind of carry that position. 0, I'm ripping the limbs anyway, so it's pleased to see you're doing a limb. All right, hell yeah, that worked out. That worked out. Yeah, no, I decided. I mean, if people do want to do like Pitbull or BBM later, I would be down to do one of those. But yeah, I'm thinking mostly eliminators. I don't know. They're fun. I haven't done really too many at all, so I didn't mind getting a couple in, even if I'm waiting for most of my volume. 0, I'm down for a few. All right, hell yeah, hell yeah. Drew, what up? What up? Hey, what's up, Drew? Thanks for stopping by, bro. Appreciate it. RB1 in the draft. Fantasy Monster. Hashtag I know ball. Hey, what's up, Thad? Thanks for stopping by, bro. Appreciate it. Thad, supreme ball knower. In at 12, 1v1 me, bro. All right. All right. Hell yeah. Well, hey, at least in the first week, all of us can get out, I think, right? 6 out of 12. So I think there's about 4 of us in here, so we can all get out of this draft. So, works out. Maybe we'll be 1v1 in later in the year, though. We don't need more info if we know ball, my boy. Hey, that's a fair point, 0. If you got the sleepers already locked down, then why pay the higher prices for them when everyone else figures it out? What's good, y'all? How's it going, Harmon? Hey, what's up, Emo Cowboy? Thanks for stopping by, bro. Appreciate it. Doing pretty good, doing pretty good. Just chilling on a Sunday. Haven't done too many of the eliminators, but always fun ripping a couple of these. I think the eliminators can be a little bit fun too because like you don't have to worry about the whole playoff stacking like correlation or even really team stacking if you don't want to. Like, you can just go a lot more I don't know, uncorrelated, just kind of picking the best player type of thing. So I think there's definitely some benefit to like skinny stacks or doubles, but like I don't know, always kind of fun ripping these. You can kind of do whatever. Um, I think I did kind of mention I don't want to get left behind at running back. Unfortunately, ETN does have the same buy as McCaffrey. I think we just pull up Jacobs. I think we just go on this team. He's not getting suspended. That's really the only risk with him. If he didn't have the legal issues, he'd probably be going like 2-3 turn, if not in the second round in this format. So I still think he's a decent price. I would usually go Travis Etienne over him, Travis Achan, however you want to say it. But he has the same buy as CMC. I really think that's kind of a big no-no in the eliminator, especially with it being an earlier buy like week 8. If this team like to make it to week 8 is still like, pretty unlikely for a team, but to make it to week 8, I don't think you're really getting a big enough payout where you're like, okay, I'll just go all in on week 8 buys and let the team die there if it can make it that far. So that's why I went with Jacobs over Travis Achan. I was doing 3 limbs and 1 drafters main at the same time to get a brain workout. Oh yeah, you got to stay sharp, 0. Got to stay sharp and multi-tabling. I mean, that'll get you there. I don't know. I don't know if for me if multi-tabling makes me sharper. I think it actually might make my like obviously the drafts themselves come out worse, but I don't know. I think it's just bad for my overall like thought process with best ball. I just start like, I just start picking names. I don't even look at the teams anymore at some point if I got too many going. So for me, just focusing on one, I feel like that keeps me a little bit sharper on it. And I can actually like, see the board, see the positions, all that. LOL, the Eliminator is like the most ultimate PvP 1v1 ever made. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. What's up, First Down Fantasy? Thanks for stopping by, bro. But yeah, no, I mean, it really is. And I really do enjoy it. Like, I only did about, I want to say 35 or 40 Eliminators last year. I didn't get like crazy volume in it. I'll probably do more this year, maybe closer to like 100 or something. Um, but yeah, it really is fun. Just like, I don't know. Yeah. Just seeing the 1v1 every single week, like just a coin flip. And especially if you see someone, like if I see 0 in my pod or something, that'll be fun. Talk some trash to him. But, uh, but yeah, no, it's definitely a fun format. I really like the head to head. I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things where like the actual like the percentage of teams that make it to the cash is actually not very good in this tournament. But it's one of those things where it feels so possible. It's like, oh, I just got to win the head to heads, and if I can build like 100 teams, I mean, how could one not win 16 head to heads in a row? Um, but But yeah, it is one of those things where it is one of the harder tournaments to cash. So it's like, I guess it's not as good for bankroll managing, but like, I don't know, it's definitely a fun tournament. Like, yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun. I love the head-to-head matchups. Mother limb ended at least, so only 3 total. Alright, that's not too bad. In drafters, you got the 30-second clock, so it's easy to manage that. Not multi necessarily, but multi different contests. Oh, got it, yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, multi in different contests, that can definitely throw you off a little bit, make you think, if you're going from full PPR to half PPR, you just gotta throw in DraftKings and start thinking about the bonuses too. It makes me focus and lock in. Alright, fair enough, different strokes, different folks. But I mean, yeah. Yeah, I don't know, especially the scoring format changes. I think that would do the opposite for me. But, if that helps you lock in, I mean, you can build multiple shippers at once, then, it works out even better. According to House, what are you gonna buy when you take down the Eliminator? Ooh, what am I gonna buy when I take down the Eliminator? What do you get, 200K? I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I have any big plans. I would probably invest some of the money. I would do some if I won 200K, some of it's definitely going right back into the best ball. Probably gonna rip some main events the next year, something like that. That's like a pretty good price on Loveland. I guess we're in the Eliminator. You want JMO? Let's go Loveland. I think the elite tight end's fine. I don't think it's really bad in the Eliminator. It's like because it can win me a week. I think Loveland's price is fine there. I was debating Devontae a little. Kind of was thinking that thing where I don't want to stack up the buys. I do have 2 week 11s. They're at different positions though, which is I think fine. But I didn't really want to go with Devontae to stack that up at receiver and have like 3 week 11 buys this early. So I leaned Loveland there over Devontae. I was kind of debating that a little bit though. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'd definitely spend it on some higher stakes drafts though. I don't know if there's anything really I got my eye on for like a physical item though. I don't know. Hartman has taken me out to the Four Seasons when he wins. All right, yeah. I mean, we'll include that for sure. Zero's got that locked in. So when I take it down, we're going to the Four Seasons. Getting romantical. I got some MLB eliminators. Did 34 and down to 5 left in round 7. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good around round 7. I don't know the exact structure of those, but having 5 left, I mean, that's got to be pretty good advancement, right? So nice. I mean, hopefully you got all it takes is one, right? Hopefully you got at least one that keeps on running and you got at least a couple bullets left still. So sounds pretty good. A limb plus weekly winner same time as ultimate brain workout. Yeah, I don't know if that'll ever be me. I'm not much of a weekly winners bro, so I definitely don't think I'll be in any of those streets at the same time as an eliminator. But I can see the two most extreme formats on Underdog that definitely would test the brain. Shamrock, do you like Monty this year? Yeah, I mean I think I like Monty this year. It depends a little bit on the room, like or well, I guess this is eliminator, so he goes way higher, but with his normal price on the 4-5 turn, I think he's let me make this pick quick and then I'll get to it. Okay. I think Drake May is totally good here. Could also go Marvin Harrison. Like I said, the quarterback stacking doesn't matter. May's definitely my favorite quarterback here. I do like Marv, but I think let's just go May. Let's just lock that in. Same thing. It is a week 11, but different positions. So kind of same thing where I'm not super worried about it, especially at quarterback. I mean, that should be a pretty easy one to cover if it even makes it that far. It's like I can definitely cover it at quarterback and then other positions. I just can't pick week 11 again. Um, but I think that's fine there to grab May. That feels good. Oh yeah, but I think Monty, I feel pretty good with. I think the only problem I'm starting to have is like he in most drafts clearly goes above this tier with like Swift, Judkins, Irving, Tootin, Henderson. Like he's almost more with Scatabo and like a tier with just those two. And I think that price is okay, but my problem is I like a lot of the receivers that go on that turn, like the Mike Evans, the Devontae Adams. like Jalen Waddle's good too. Even like Luther Burden, if he makes it to the turn, I think is a fine price. So I'm having a little bit of a harder time taking Monty in like the on like the turn if it's one of those receivers I really like is there. But I think he's still very comparable to like the Swift, Judkins, Bucky Irving, Trevion, Tootin. I think he's in a similar tier with all those guys. And I think you feel a little bit safer with his workload than you do with Swift, than you do with Henderson, than you do with Tootin or Bucky. And then he's on a better team than Judkins, most likely. So I think that's why he goes higher than those guys. And I think it's reasonable. But I think Montgomery is like around fair priced. I don't think he's really like much of a value at this point, especially sometimes when he goes like in the fourth or right on that turn and there's still a lot of good receivers left. I think we're just going to lock up Rico, top running back available. I only have 2 different bye weeks. So yeah, we lock up Rico. I think that totally makes sense on this build. So right now I'm rocking a 1-3-2-1, Drake May, Christian McCaffrey, Josh Jacobs, Rico Dowdle, Drake London, Tet McMillan, and Colston Loveland. I think that's pretty solid so far. Definitely need to hammer out some receiver now, but at least I feel like I have a decent core at running back. And then I have tight end and quarterback are pretty strong with the elite onesies. So I think it feels like a decent start. Like I said, I haven't done a ton of Eliminator, so I am still getting a little bit used to the format, but I think this is around like I think this is a good structure to start out with. I think I can build out of this okay. But we'll kind of see, if the board falls. If the board falls, I'm not as happy with it. I'll kind of try to figure out like where I went wrong, stuff like that. Try to do it better in the next one. We're probably gonna rip a couple of these. So try to learn the board as we go. Um oh yeah, hopefully I answered that. So yeah, I kind of like Monty, but I do think like it's pretty easy to take those receivers over him right now if he's going on that 4 or 5 turn, not really falling into the fifth sometimes. Zero, you two will be sitting in mine with a couple drinks and massages. Hell yeah, yeah. Corey knows what's up. Fuck yeah, Corey. Corey in the house. If I won 100,000 in an attorney, buying a Sprinter van that can be reliable would be my move, I think. All right, all right. I respect it. I respect it. Help you hustle a little bit. And I mean, yeah, I mean that'd just be nice to have. Yeah, because I kind of thought about like the car thing too, but like I don't know. I don't know. It would be I mean, it would be cool to buy a nice new car or something, but I feel like if I won like that amount, I'd probably just set some more aside to like gamble with and some higher stakes. And then I would probably just like invest the rest or something. Like I'd probably be a little bit boring with it to be honest. Uh all right. Jaden Reed wouldn't be bad, but it's a week 11, so we'll avoid that. Could go QJ. Could go Josh Downs actually. Actually kind of like the Josh Downs. He is moving up. There are the Keenan Allen rumors. Could go Pittman. Pittman's safe. We'll see if we get in Pittman. I think he's a little bit safer than Downs right now. The Keenan Allen rumors got me a little bit spooked. Josh Downs' price has just been rising with all the Alec Pierce injury news. Um, we'll lean towards Pittman over Josh Downs. QJ, I'm just a little bit of a hater. Maybe I should get a little bit more, but I do think for my third receiver that I have to rely on, a guy like Downs or Pittman helps a lot more than QJ, where like I can kind of trust him every week to actually give me some floor, hit my lineup. So I think Pittman made sense there. AMC May is a monster, potentially QB1. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, I think he can definitely push for QB1. Like you look at him, he had a really high scramble rate still. He ran for a good amount of yards, right? Like he's not rushing like Jaden or something, but he's putting up a good amount of rushing yards and like you look at his passing, it's up there with an elite QB, and now he finally has real weapons, right? Diggs was okay last year, but now having AJ Brown and bringing in Dobbs, like he has legit weapons. I mean, he already showed it last year with a lot less talented like receivers. Um, so yeah, I mean, I definitely think May could push for QB1. I mean, he was QB2 last year, I believe, right? So yeah, I definitely think so. Um, Monty is so goddamn expensive for no reason. What's up, Nathaniel? Thanks for stopping by, bro. Appreciate it. Um, I think the thing is that Woody is just such an inefficient rusher that Monty can get there just kind of like how Mixon did a couple of years ago with just oh sorry. With just not much other competition there that's really taking him off the field and then just runs a little bit hotter on touchdowns. Like, you look at Mixon when he was there, right? 257 for 1,034. He wasn't all that efficient either. He did decent in the receiving game, 52 catches for 376, but it was really just that dominant goal line role and just the volume in that offense. And I do think the offense could be better this year. Oh shit. I was looking at the wrong year, but luckily his stats were similar. All right, let's get Rashad White. That's good. Um Wait, all right. Let me look at the right year so I can actually make my point. Oh yeah, okay. So he ran 245 for 1,000. So he wasn't even super efficient, but 11 touchdowns, one receiving. He had a decent role in the receiving game too, right? 36 for 300. I think Monty could put up really similar stats to this. I just I don't really see Woody Marks as much of a competitor in the running game. I think he was really inefficient. He gets stuffed a lot. I don't think he'll take Monty off the field much. I think Monty will dominate goal line. I think Woody will get some receiving work and he'll definitely get on the field and be a change of pace back. But I think Montgomery will dominate work similar to how Mixon did. And I think he could especially really dominate on the goal line. I'm also someone who thinks the Texans will be a little bit better this year. I think that's definitely more debatable, but I do think their O line did improve, a little bit sneaky. They drafted some people, brought in a little bit, not great free agents, but some free agents that should at least hopefully improve, a little bit from last year. Um, and then I just think that, last year you look at their running game, they were relying on Nick Chubb and Woody Marks. I think Montgomery is just clearly better than either of those players, even if he's not like totally in his prime. And I don't think Monty's the greatest running back, but I think Mixon wasn't the greatest running back either, and he had a really solid year when he was healthy on Houston. I guess that's kind of my case for him is I think it could be really similar to what Mixon did. I mean, Monty was going between 58 and 75 as RB2 on the Lions. So how is he more expensive? So how is he more expensive as the bell cow? I mean, yeah, so he should be more expensive as the bell cow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Balagier, that guy got neighbors there. What's up, Balagier? Thanks for stopping by, bro. Well, this is the Eliminator. So it's at 46. So in the Eliminator, I guess I never actually said the structure. I guess I should. So in the Eliminator, you play a new pod every single week. So week one, half of this pod that we're drafting in will get eliminated. The bottom half will be out of the contest or teams are done. And then the top half will go on to the next week. And then it's all just head to head, one versus two, or you versus someone else every week that your team keeps going all the way to the end. So like neighbors in this, if he misses the first 4 weeks or something, then you have to try to survive the first 4 weeks of the year without your fourth round pick. It might be almost impossible to get him through. So that's why he's falling so much later in this format because the early season is so much more important compared to like, a pod based format where the tournament's at the end or where the finals like at the end. The final it is still at the end, obviously, in this, but the early season matters a lot more because every week you're up for elimination. All right, we can just go with Kyler here. I was looking at those receivers. They both did have the week 11 buys, which it would have been maybe okay, but I really would prefer to avoid it. I think it was a decent time to get a second QB. I can definitely be done with Kyler and Drake May. But I think just in this tier, there's a pretty big drop off after like Kyler, Shuck, Baker, Love, after those guys go off the board. Um, so I think it made sense to get the second there over receiver, especially like with the whole bye week issue. If Dobbs comes back, maybe I pick him, but I think it made sense to just grab my second QB there. We'll go back to the board. Texans D is so good. Monty will be at the goal line often. That's kind of what I'm thinking too. That's pretty similar to my thesis, to be honest. This is Eliminator. I got scared. Oh, okay. Yeah. Eliminator, he's, I think that's around his ADP is like 4 or 5 turn. I would expect him to fall more, but we'll kind of see how the news goes on him. I'm not really picking up much of my eliminators, but like I said, I haven't done too many. Um, I'm just kind of avoiding them though. I pick them enough in the normal format right now, so I'm not really willing to risk it yet. Chuba 72 is such a gift. Yeah, actually an eliminator, yeah. Because I mean, usually he would go somewhere in the 6th round for sure, not make it all the way back there. So yeah, no, that feels pretty good. Um, all right. I mean, if Dobbs comes back to me, I might just take him. Could take Jaden Higgins as well. I mean, Dobbs is probably the better pick though, and he's stacked. I don't even have a Patriots player. I think I do it even though it is my, second week 11 at a wide receiver. At least it's a little bit later in my build. It's probably okay, but it's probably not ideal. Like maybe Jaden Higgins would have been better, but I do think it's enough of a tier break at receiver for me to go with Dobbs, especially with the stack being in play. I think it made sense to go with Dobbs. And then probably just looking at receiver again on the turn. Back forward. Love Chuba. Yeah, yeah. Mixon was there in 2024, not 2023. Yeah, no, I was looking at the wrong year at first. Luckily, they were remarkably similar, so it didn't make too much of a difference, to be honest. But yeah, I did look at the wrong year the first time. Woody is an Eckler signing away from working the night shift at Riverside Del Taco. Yeah, no, for real. I mean, Woody just, I don't know. He just don't got the juice, right? Like he's like just such a bad rusher, and then I don't know. I mean, it's not like he's the worst RB ever, but it just doesn't seem like he'll really be able to push Monty for anything meaningful. As long as Monty's healthy, I just don't think Woody's really going to push him for anything more than like whatever your general replacement level change of pace back would get. Like I just don't think Woody's special enough to do anything more than that. It sounds like you might agree. They invested a decent amount into Woody, so I doubt that Sladen. Yeah, no, I mean they're not actually going to cut him, but Woody could get relegated pretty easy. I guess is the thing. He's just not that important probably to the overall success. He makes Jalen Hyatt look like a secure roster spot. Yeah, I mean, hey, maybe Woody is. I mean, Woody's pretty bad, but I don't think they'll get rid of him. They're not paying him too much money, so that'll probably keep him safe if nothing else. Um, but yeah, but Woody's not great. All right. I do like Shaheed. I like Trey Tucker, but we'll just go Jalen Coker. Just got paid, fell a little bit. Why not Jalen Coker? We'll double up that Carolina. We don't have any other week 5 buys at all. So I think that's okay. Might even try to throw on Bryce Young later, but I think that's fine as long as I avoid other week 5s. I think doubling them up is fine. That way if either gets spike, anything like that, then I'm kind of locking that up with Carolina. Maybe not the best team to really lock up their receiver production, but at least Coker's decently cheap. Um, so I think that feels okay. Trey Tucker would have been fine, Shaheed would have been fine, but we'll go with Coker, go with the Carolina double. I think that's fine there. Most of the receivers there would have been fine to be honest. Um, Makes Demon easier to click. Totally agree. Yeah. Yeah, like if I had more confidence in Woody, I probably wouldn't click so much Demon. I think that is the big thing to me too, is like I don't think Monty's the best running back, especially like at this point. I think he is a little bit, like he's never been super explosive. He's been decent at breaking tackles, but you have seen a little fall off in efficiency from him the last 2 years. Granted, he did deal with some injuries as well. But like I just have such low confidence in Woody. Like, even last year over Nick Chubb, right? Like Woody had a hard time overtaking him at all. So it's like I don't know. Yeah, I just have a hard time really believing in Woody and seeing him as really big competition for Monty. So I think that is a big part of my Monty thesis as well. Um, do we know how the matchups work after week 1? Do the 6 advancing teams face each other? No, it's totally random. Anyone in the competition, as far as I know, it's completely random. You could face any other team. I don't think you can face your own team. I'm not sure about that, but I think it's completely random with anyone else in the competition, maybe other than your own teams, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But odds are you won't play anyone in your pod again. No. Um, I mean, Jawan. Do I want a running back? Do I want Tajay? I get Tajay. He's been getting some good coach speak. They say him and Tony Pollard are both the workhorses in that offense. So we can get some Tajay. Maybe he gets on the field a little. I think my running back room is pretty strong now. I got pretty much all different buys. Just got that double week 9 with Tajay and Rico, but I think that's totally fine with my 5th guy and my 3rd guy. I'm not super worried about that. So I think running back feels pretty good overall now. I have 4 guys who are at least like sharing time or should be starters, 2 strong guys up top. And then I think I'm just trying to work on receiver and then maybe I definitely need another tight end at some point, but not super worried about it. Mainly just trying to work out receiver and then get that second tight end at some point. All right, let's go back to the board. Will two of my limbs face each other? I don't believe so. I don't think that two of your own limbs will face each other. I believe it's only like I believe it's like everyone else, but it can be any team out of everyone else. That's what I think. As much as it seems Marks Pacheco types our values in the 160s, we aren't even to training camp, and there's a lot of RBs floating around out there that are going to find homes. Yeah, no, I agree. I think especially like, yeah, I mean either of them to be honest. Like I think especially Pacheco because I don't know, they didn't hardly pay him anything, and they didn't like I don't know. I could see the Lions bringing in someone, but yeah, like Woody too. The Texans definitely could. And yeah, it is true. Like, those weaker backups, there's no guarantee just because we know their name, just because like they were in a decent role a year or two ago. There's no guarantee that they're not going to get washed by some like random free agent, right? There's no guarantee that a Kenny Gainwell type from last year isn't going to come in and just take their job. Um, so yeah, no, 100% agree with that. That's true. And like I'm not going super hard on especially to me like Pacheco. He feels like a weak backup. I'm a little bit more taking Marks because I don't really think the Texans are going to bring anyone else in. They haven't really had any rumors, but they definitely could. I mean, especially if there's someone they like. I mean, it's definitely, not a bad thought. Um do I want Juwan on a little bit of a faller, or do I want, like, Dalton Schultz? I could also go Hawkinson stacked. I don't know if I really care about the stack. I think I probably just like Schultz the most. Give me that, like, solid floor at tight end, 100 targets, hopefully, yet again. Um, I think Schultz feels really good in Eliminator and in regular builds too. Just that target volume he gets in that offense, always feels pretty good. So we went Schultz there over Juwan. I'm not as big in Juwan since he went on Minnesota. Maybe he has a decent role, gets used in the red zone, but as a third target on that offense, I think it's just going to be hard for him to like consistently get decent usage. And even when he does, it might be hard for him to really spike if he's like not on the field 100%. Only in the finals, best ball ball. Okay, right, yeah. You can't face yourself before the finals. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, so technically you could have all three final spots though, but not before that. Haven't been taking any Genty, but Dolphins week one. Might have to load up on my Genty and Elam. Yeah, no, I mean, hey, that's not a bad idea, Drew. Like, I picked him. I picked him 101 in an eliminator yesterday. Kurt Rambis was on stream, so I had to pick him 101 there. But yeah, yeah, I do think it's worth moving him up maybe a little. I think Jonathan Taylor's early season is also like not that great. So it could be worth it, especially in a couple drafts. It also depends what kind of volume you're doing. He's an end of the first rounder. So if you're going to do 100 drafts or 50 drafts, even, you could wait to see if you naturally get more genty until you get a little bit deeper into it too. But I mean, hey, week one in theory is your hardest week, right? You got to beat six other people, or it's your easiest week. It's all about pod luck. So, I guess it depends how you think about it. But, but yeah, I mean, making it out of week one's, a big part, right? Making it out of that 6 out of 12, then you're just kind of in the pod luck part. I think I want a receiver. I mean, Calvin Ridley's probably not a bad pick, they brought the rookie in. They bring Wandale in. Calvin Ridley's kind of the best holdover from last year. Maybe you're a Chimere DK fan, but I think Ridley's probably an okay pick and eliminator. Maybe he gets some run early, kind of falls off as the season goes. Those new guys get more established, but I think he's probably a fine eliminator as pick. So we'll go Ridley there. Boom. Hey, what's up, Money Anything, Jeff T? Thanks for stopping by, bro. Appreciate it. Woody is bad as a bell cow. He's very solid NFL RB though. Yeah, I mean, but he's like not an efficient runner at all, right? I mean, that's kind of the thing. Like he can pass catch a little, like he can kind of do a little bit of everything. He's just like as a rusher, he's just not very efficient. The best thing about Woody is it's clean contingent about it. If Monty goes down, we know Texans are very content giving him 20 plus touches, even if he wouldn't get that much. Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, that's why I take some Woody. And like I was saying with the Pacheco thing, like I take a little bit less of him because I could see him getting replaced easier, I guess. But the Woody thing, like that's the main thing I take him for, just the contingent upside. and I do think he'll be on the field a little bit. So you are maybe getting some usable weeks, but mostly it's about the contingent upside. If Monty goes down, they get Najee or Connor on speed dial there. He saw blue tent marks hold the offense hostage once. Yeah, no, I mean, well, we'll see though, because I think Zero saying maybe more like an in-season injury. If it happens in summer, maybe, but if it's in season, those guys might be on teams already. Connor is a Lion, sadly. Yeah, yeah. Very likely. Cool, thanks. I caught that Genty 101 pick. You had to do it. Hey, what's up, Mike? Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, no, I thought it was gonna be I thought it would be a funny bit, When you see Rambus on the stream, if you can pull Genty up ahead of him, you gotta do it. Um, all right. So I guess, let's get Tesla. Let's see if Tesla can maybe he starts off hot. Maybe they got some big plans for him this year. I think that's fine. A lot of these other guys, I love me some Brandon Ayuk, but maybe I could have picked him, but I'll save him more for the normal formats. He's not as much of an eliminator guy for me. Um, but we'll go Tesla there. I don't love a ton of these other receivers. Maybe Malik would have been fine, Malik Washington, just because maybe the beginning of the year he is kind of the main receiver until like a rookie takes over or something. Maybe Malik just stays the main receiver, but at least early season maybe has a little bit better chance. So wouldn't have minded him, I guess. I don't know. I'm fine with Tesla though. I think that's okay. It's my seventh receiver. I think I kind of ate my vegetables with the Calvin Ridley, then I get the fun guy with Tesla. So it all works out. Um oh yeah, yeah, but had to do it with Rambus there. Ridley, like Judy, can also win with a preseason or deadline trade. Hey, that's true too. If they end up trading Ridley, that might be pretty good. I mean, it was just 2 years ago he led the league in air yards, right? So I don't know. I mean, Ridley might still have a little bit left in the tank. He was injured last year. Maybe if he goes to a real like sorry team, like goes to the Raiders, goes to the Dolphins, something like that. Maybe there could be a chance for him to carve out a role and be a pretty good pick. I mean, this late, it's not like it would take too much for either one of them to pay off their price, were Ridley or Judy. So yeah, I mean, he definitely could go to a new team, pay off that price. And even on the Titans, I guess an eliminator, like my kind of thought was maybe if he is going to show anything, it's probably going to be early in the year. So maybe helps in that sense. But yeah, if he gets traded, it could definitely be a pretty good winner. All right. What am I looking at here? I could be done at quarterback and tight end if I want. I could grab a tight end, like a Ferguson, a Jasicki would be fine. Grab a running back. Katron would be fine. Um, yeah, let's go with my dog, Katron Allen. Love me some Katron Allen. Why not? We got Rashad White. We lock up the Washington backfield, which I think is actually probably more viable in Eliminator anyway to do that. I mean, it could just be JCM's backfield. Maybe I just killed the team picking both guys. It's not. But I think it could work out better in Eliminator because, like, if somehow, let's say Rashad White is the main guy and then he gets hurt or something, and then, I am right and it's Katron over JCM or something like that, then it's like an eliminator. It doesn't really kill you that you're replacing your Rashad White with Katron because you're only head to head, right? It's not like the big tournament thing where, oh, well, the Katron teams that didn't have Rashad are killing you because you just might not run into them. So, I mean, kind of a far fetched idea for my 17th round rookie RB that was a day 3 pick. But when I'm telling a story, that's a story I'm telling with this Washington double backfield pick. And all right, I think for my last pick, I'll probably be going either receiver or tight end. It'll be one of the two. Are you in an area? Are you in an air yards league? No, I am not. But air yards is a good precursor to points. They say, but but that is true. That is true. Those air yards did not pay off a ton. Um, but hey, it showed that when he runs deep down the field, it's not just wind sprints. I mean, it is wind sprints, but they're throwing the ball to him. So, he must be doing something a little bit right at least. Either that or the quarterback play was so bad they were just chucking it down there. Um, but yeah, no, I mean that is a fair point. That is a fair point. I'm grasping at straws when I'm trying to talk up my Calvin Ridley pick. So, we're trying to figure out any reason we can to pick him. Christian Kirk would be fine. Yeah. Yeah, we just go Christian Kirk, maybe kind of same idea as the old Calvin Ridley. Just has a role early as the vet. Obviously, this is first year on the Niners too, but mainly like hopefully he plays over Stribling early as just kind of the vet and stuff. Gives me some floor early. I don't even really know if I need floor early at receiver. I got a lot of floor with my early picks anyways. But you know, I don't know. I couldn't really think of a name. I was kind of looking at tight end, thought about Parkinson, went with Christian Kirk instead. Maybe Parkinson would have been a little bit better. I'm not sure. Christian Kirk is an okay pick. I feel like I built the team pretty all right though. But all right. We can catch up quick. So I'll check out your guys' teams and then we'll do another eliminator. I think we'll just rip another. Rams could look into Ridley as a team all in. Yeah, I mean, that's true, they could probably get him, and if he's cheap enough, I mean, why not, right? Especially if the Titans can eat most of the contract and he goes for a super cheap pick. They were sniffing around a receiver. They do like their old vets. They had Demarcus Robinson. They had Allen Robinson. Maybe they go for Calvin Ridley now, change it up a little bit. They had OBJ too. For Ridley's sake, hopefully it's not a Des Ritter reunion. Not a Des Ritter reunion. Where does Desmond Ritter play? Where's Desmond Ritter playing these days? Desmond Ritter's not on a team, so time up with Packers. Yeah, so it doesn't look like it'll be a reunion. Desmond Ritter might not be in the NFL. Um, but yeah, hopefully not. People thought they were going to take Lemon in the draft, but that never came to fruition. Yeah, no, I was surprised. I mean, everyone was surprised when they took Ty Simpson, right? No one could have seen that coming. But yeah, I mean, I was shocked when they took Ty Simpson as well. So yeah, I don't even know. I don't know. I'm still shocked they did that. You'd think they'd be trying to win a Super Bowl, not trying to get Stafford's backup for when he retires in a couple years. Um, yeah, I don't know. It was a weird choice, I thought. I take a ton of Ridley. Okay, okay. So you're just giving me a little shit, but all right, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, it's just as late as he goes, maybe he has a decent role. And maybe he can still win down the field in theory. Maybe. I don't know though. But as cheap as he goes, can't can't hate it too much. AJB trade smoke was wild too. Yeah, no, I mean they pretty much gave that away like really early. Shout out Rossini with her detective work, getting that out there early. I think Rams wouldn't have taken Tyson if he was available. Doesn't seem that interested in Lemon at 13. Oh, and yeah, the Rams had a bunch of AJB smoke too. Yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah, no, maybe they were just more out on Lemon. They already got Puka. Why do you need Lemon? Not saying Lemon is Puka, but maybe he does a lot of similar things to Puka. I guess kind of what I'm getting at. So maybe just like Tyson could do something different. He's a different kind of player than you have. What does Lemon really do different? Sean McVay was shocked too. Yeah, no, that was true. He did not seem happy when they picked Ty Simpson. But I mean later, he seemed happy, but he might have been doing an acting job later. They might have been like, hey, you can't be pissed about our first round pick. Um all right. So we'll check out my team, Kale Elliott, 0, RB1, and mute bars. I think that's who's in here. So we'll check those out, then we'll hop into another. All right, so 0, 3, 5, 7, 3, Josh Allen, Dart, Tua, good QB room. Josh Allen, Dart's good. Get Tua for a little bit more floor. Why not? You got some early buys at the other quarterback spot, so don't mind the Tua pick. Bijan, Quinshawn, Bucky, Chuba, James Conner, good running back room, really strong top 4. James Conner maybe does get traded or something before the season, gets an actual decent role. Don't mind that. Receiver, Nico, Marvin Harrison, Khalil Shakir, Rashid Shaheed, Trey Tucker, Juwan Jennings, Jahan Dotson. I think receivers definitely pretty weak. It can get there maybe, like if these 3 guys can kind of fill the role, but even then having Harrison as kind of like you're locked in too, it feels a little bit shaky. Receiver might be a pretty sore spot a couple weeks this year. And then Pitts, Kelsey, Hawkinson, good tight end room, really good tight end room actually. So I mean, I think it's okay because 3 out of your 4 rooms are like really strong. Receiver, maybe you pushed it a little bit too hard, but I think it can work, but you probably push it a little bit harder than I'd be comfortable with, but your other 3 rooms are strong, so that might kinda be just what you need to get through in the eliminator each week. Um, so overall decent build, but maybe would have liked a little bit more at that receiver spot. Um, all right. So then let's look at Cale Elliott, 4473. Kind of interesting. Stafford, Shuck. Okay, both Raiders. So that kind of makes sense. So good QB room, pretty good overall. Locking up both Raiders, and then Stafford, Shuck, good. Love, Brees, Ramondre, Monangai. Eh. I mean, it's okay. It's just like, and all the buys are really late, so that's good. I don't love it as a hyper fragile with the backup in there with Monangai. I think it's okay. Obviously, he will be splitting some work. He's getting touches, but I don't know. I do think it's a little bit risky, especially an eliminator. Like, I don't know. It's probably fine, I guess, because three guys you feel confident in, two guys who are pretty solid starters. It's probably okay, but it's definitely, definitely puts the fragile and hyper fragile with the running back room. And then receiver, Puka, Mike Evans, Waddle, Parker, Travis Hunter, Judy, Brandon Ayuk. Pretty good receiver room, like the top four. Top four are all strong. Get Hunter to get the little Jacksonville thing going. Judy, good at the end, could easily pay off that price. Ayuk, some upside at the end, don't mind that. Ferguson, Goddard, Juwan, good enough tight end room, should get the job done. Um, I think it's all right. The running back room makes me personally a little bit uncomfortable, but I think capitalized it's reasonable for a 4 RB room. And the other positions are like tight ends, good, average to good. Wide receivers pretty good, strong top 4, and then quarterback was pretty good too. So I think decent build overall, and I think even pretty good. Maybe I'm just a little bit more worried about the running backs, but I think they're reasonable as a 4 RB. It just has me a little worried if it was me. I went 2682 Drake May Kyler. I think it's a fine 2 QB room. Usually I prefer a third, but I think that's fine for 2. CMC, Jacobs, Rico Dowdle, Rashad White, Tyjae Spears, Katron Allen. I think I have a pretty strong running back room overall. I got 2 solid guys up top. 2 kind of share time guys with Rico and Rashad White. Hopefully they take over and are the main guys in their backfield. But either way, 2 guys who should be on the field. Tyjae, more contingent, but maybe gets on the field a little. Katron, rookie upside swing. Don't mind that as my 6th. Drake London, Tat McMillan, Michael Pittman, Romeo Dobbs, Jalen Coker, Calvin Ridley, Isaac Tesla, Christian Kirk, and then Loveland Schultz. I think Loveland Schultz is fine for a 2 tight end build. But my receiver room, I think it's pretty good overall. I think I got really consistent guys with my top 4. Maybe we're not quite as sure on Dobbs what his role looks like exactly with AJ Brown there as kind of an alpha. But I think my top 3 feel really consistent, like target floor week to week, should have really consistent roles. And then kind of same with Dobbs. Coker maybe a little bit more spiky than we kind of pushed it, but I think I should have really solid floor, really good production with my top 4 kind of every week, and then hopefully get some spikes out of my bottom 4. So yeah, I think overall I feel pretty good with my build. I think I'm pretty happy with how it came out. You could maybe argue my receiver room lacks some upside. I could definitely see that. Um, but I think it has pretty good floor for like, kind of going too decently early than waiting. So yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with how this build came out overall. I think pretty happy with it. All right, let's look at RB1, Drew, 3573, Dak Prescott, Malik Willis, Jacoby Brissett. It's okay. It's maybe a little bit thinner, but you're probably fine. You have super late buys on Dak and Brissett. You're probably fine. Yeah, that's fine at QB. Genty, Achane, J.K. Dobbins, Aaron Jones, Tank Bigsby, good running back room. Strong double anchor. You get kind of Jones and Dobbins in that tier where like both share time backfields, but should be good teams. Should both probably be getting the most work on their teams if they're healthy. So like that running back room, and then just Bigsby, big contingent swing. So like that. Zay Flowers, Garrett Wilson, J-Mo, Jacoby Myers, Stephon Diggs, Jalen McMillan, Kayshawn Booty. I think that's pretty good too, right? Really strong top 2, really high target volume. J-Mo will give you some like low weeks, but the spikes could really carry you through any given week. Jacoby and Diggs, a little bit more safety behind them. I like that. So yeah, I like the receiver room. Warren and then McMillan Booty at the end, I think is fine too. Warren, Chig, Jasicki, good tight end room. Warren up top, got an elite. Yeah, no, I like this team quite a bit. Pretty well balanced. I'm not as much of a Malik Willis guy, but I think Dak, Willis, Jacoby makes sense. Jacoby makes a lot more sense in the Eliminator, right? Maybe he gets benched, but if he starts 10 weeks for you, you're probably pretty happy as late as you picked him. Um, yeah, I think pretty solid overall, though. I mean, pretty well balanced all throughout, like, or pretty good, like, capital balance all throughout. Yeah, I think it's a really solid team. I like this one quite a bit. Nice team, Drew. Let's look at mute bars. 2673, Jaden Goff. Good 2 QB room. You have an elite. You got someone on the Goff tier. I think you're totally good with that. Saquon, Scadaboo, Jordan Mason, Brian Robinson, Braylon Allen, Justice Hill. I think it's fine at running back. You got kind of the double anchor, maybe modified double anchor if you want to call it that. Whatever. But double anchor. Jordan Mason's a fine third. Maybe I would have liked a little bit more strength, like other than B Rob Braylon Hill, like as a fourth. Like a little bit stronger fourth might have been nice, but I think this is okay. This is a decent three. Have these two kind of fill in your top two spots. Hope Mason can fill in the low weeks or maybe even hit your flex sometimes. I think it's okay overall. Should be good. You're just really relying on Scadaboo Barkley. And then Jefferson, Emeka, DJ Moore, Alec Pierce, Jaden Higgins, Omar Cooper, Dontavian Wicks. Pretty good receiver room overall. Especially if Alec Pierce is healthy, then I think you're looking like really good at receiver. So like the receiver room, Kraft, Andrews, and Njoku, really strong tight end room. Like the top two a lot. Throw on Njoku at the end. Why not? He could spike some weeks, right? So I think tight end's pretty good. Receivers pretty good. Running back is like fine. It's just really relying on these top two guys or like Jordan Mason really coming on, and then quarterback's good. So overall, I think pretty decent team. Especially if like Scadaboo's good to go, Barkley's good, then I think it can be a really strong team. Because all the other positions are pretty strong. So yeah, pretty solid team overall. All right, so I'll catch up with you guys in the chat just real quick, and then we'll hop into another eliminator. All right, zero. Tyson is a better Adams replacement long term. Yeah, no, that's probably true too, right? He can win downfield. He has that bigger frame, bigger body. It's like that is true, and he can do so much different stuff than like Puka. I mean, I guess Puka can kind of do anything, but like he just works kind of in that Adams role. You could see him fitting in a lot more than like Makai Lemon. Makai Lemon's more like a Puka replacement. Tight end RB and flex. Yeah. Thanks, Hartman. I agree with you. All right, cool. Yeah, no, I thought your team was really good, so that was pretty good. I've done a decent amount of hero and even modified zero RB and a limb, so mixing up some more fragile receiver rooms for portfolio. Okay, I like that. And if you do hit on one of those later guys, and that can really get you through. And your receiver room was like okay, it was just kind of on the shakier side. So I think it was definitely viable enough. You didn't go like super crazy fringe or anything like that. Mute bars, RBs went way too early for what I'm used to, missed out a little. Yeah, no, that happened to me my first couple also, and it's hard getting used to the board, adjusting to the different pockets a little bit, right? Just figuring out the different runs and pockets I think can help a lot though. Bryce Snipe was wild, Hartman. Oh yeah, I got sniped on Bryce. What the hell? What up, drafters? Hey, Hartman. Hey, what's up, Goofy Chicken Fantasy? What's clugging, bro? Caught if any of you guys missed it, Goofy Chicken did a stream with Rambus and Sentex Legend yesterday. It was pretty good. Sentex got a little heated. He got off the stream, but he came back. He came back and locked in later. But definitely a pretty fun stream yesterday to watch over on Goofy Chicken Fantasy. What up, Goofy? GG's gonna wait till August to draft more Limb, but always fun enjoying draft with y'all. All right, hell yeah. Hey, thanks for jumping in. Thanks for jumping in, Drew. It's always good. Always good hopping in a draft with you. And yeah, I'm probably saving most of mine too, but with the lobby a little bit bare, and I still wanted to get the Sunday stream in, so we're definitely gonna rip a couple. Appreciate you hopping in, drafting with me. Always a good time. But all right. So we're gonna hop into another eliminator. I'm gonna count it down, and we're gonna hop in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So we're in waiting for 5. If anyone wants to hop in the eliminator, uh, you know, go for it. I mean, hopefully, I'm thinking tomorrow they're probably gonna give us some new contest, right? Like we're probably gonna get a new puppy early next week, I'd imagine, or at least like something, maybe something like a poodle, something like that. But I'd imagine we're gonna get something either Monday or Tuesday next week. We'll kind of see, but I think with the poodle filling and the Frenchie filling, we'll probably get something else. Got you, bro. Like, hey, what's up, best ball and calling? Stopping by, bro. Appreciate it. Oh yeah, and hey, if you are enjoying the content, and you haven't already, consider drop a like, drop a subscribe. I'd appreciate it. But yeah, shout out best ball on call. One of the premier chat rats in the space. Also probably the premier setup of any streamer. I'm just sitting here in front of a green screen. This guy has a studio that rivals Overzet. Gunnar Ross in. All right, all right. Competing against one of the best. Gunnar Ross, I believe, was second place last year. So we got the Sharks in here, trying to get some free EV from a guy like me. Hasn't played too many of these. I respect it. I respect the grind. The fact they didn't drop Puppy 3 today is disgusting. Yeah, I feel like they really don't drop those on like weekends ever. They always wait till like Monday or Tuesday, I feel like. Maybe that's not true. Maybe I'm off on that, but I feel like they always wait till like Monday or Tuesday and they'll let Sunday be kind of an empty day. But but hey, and this is maybe kind of why they do it too, right? Then the poodle fills, then the pit bull's been easier to fill lately too. I've gotten some of those in the last day or two. When those are a lot harder to fill before. So I think part of it's, get some of these bloated contests out of the lobby or get them filled a little bit more. Then they'll reward you with the puppy. Hallie Lion, yeah, not much out there right now. Hope to see something tomorrow. Yeah, I hope so too. Also, what's up? Hey, what's up, Hallie Lion? Thanks for stopping by, bro. Appreciate it. But yeah, I hope we get something tomorrow. I think we probably will. I don't know if it'll be Puppy 3. I'd imagine we're going to get Puppy 3 soon, but if not, hopefully it's like, something like Poodle, something similar to that. I'd really like to see that. Because Eliminator, I do want to save them for the most part. I don't mind ripping like 2, 3 today, whatever, a couple a day. But I do want to save him for the most part. I need something I can just draft the shit out of 1, 3, 5, 10. Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I mean the puppies are nice for that. Like just kind of you can just get in a bunch of entries into them, not worry about it as much, just like rip drafts over and over. I don't know. It is nice to have stuff like that. Like the poodle is really good for that, I thought. But maybe 20 max isn't even enough for you. But the poodle was pretty good for that. I've been working 60 hours and too busy to stream. Damn, all right, BBOC out here grinding. Yeah, no, I mean, still in the chat streets, right? You can still get out in the chat streets, be part of the community. But 60 hours a week, hey, I mean that's the grind, man. I was grinding a little bit on the work schedule, around like draft time and stuff. I kind of stopped doing the streaming for a little bit. I was pulling some OT and stuff around them, but yeah, okay, yeah, Genty. We're in the eliminator. Genty at 9, great pick. Plays Dolphins week 1, easy. But yeah, no, I was a month or two ago. We had some bigger projects I was doing a little bit, but luckily now I'm on a little bit more normal schedule, a little bit easier to get it in. How we doing, Hartman and everyone? Hey, what's up, Mr. Mufasa? Doing pretty good, just chilling on a Sunday, ripping some of the eliminators. But how you doing? Thanks for stopping by, bro. They wait till they realize DK drafters spike in activity. There's no sprinter marathon to hide behind. Yeah, I mean maybe. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. DK's been doing pretty good this year. They've been putting out a lot of contests, a lot of promos. It's been pretty good to see from DraftKings. I don't do a ton of DraftKings, but it has been good to see. I've done a little bit over there. Drafters is pretty fun too. I usually kind of wait on them, I feel like, till the latest. Like drafters, I usually kind of cram in closer to the end, but I don't know. They're definitely I definitely enjoy drafters. And then DK's been doing pretty good this year. I would definitely take Jefferson. I would take probably King Henry. Baltimore is one of the best early season schedules. So, Jefferson or King Henry? That is tough. It is a double week 13 if I take Derrick Henry, which I think is kind of a no-no. Now, if I make it to week 13, do I care? That's like 5 grand. We'll let it take Jefferson. We'll let it take Jefferson. We're trying to win the whole contest. We're not trying to cash week 13. You know, this team, what are the odds it even makes it that far? Pretty fucking low. But on the off chance it does, I'd rather have Justin Jefferson than both my first two picks on a bye. So we'll go with Jefferson. We'll pass King Henry off to 0, unfortunately. But hey, that's a pretty good price on Jefferson, so I don't mind it. You know, if people are taking CD Lamb at 11 and I'm getting Jefferson at 16, I can't be too upset. Yeah, but having a $500 and $1,000 contest in the lobby and no $5 puppy is disgusting work. Yeah, no, I mean, th- that's kind of true. Yeah. I mean, hey, one puppy, you know, but I, I don't know. It is hard. Those contests will be in there like all summer. Um, you know, because they don't usually fill till closer to the end. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I do wish they would have something else in the lobby. I mean, I would prefer to probably not do eliminators right now. I don't really care, but I'd probably prefer not to. Like if there was a puppy or a poodle or something still in the lobby, I would definitely be doing those instead. So yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. I wish there was something different, but it's I don't mind ripping these. You know, any draft is pretty much fine, and getting in a couple of them, I don't mind it. But there should be a puppy, a poodle, something like that. Oh, and I don't know if I said the people in the draft, but so we got Mute Bars, we got Gunnar Ross, we got Kale Elliott, we got 0, we got me at 9, King Calorie at 12. Not sure if they're watching, but we at least got a few friends and family in here. And if I didn't say your name, let me know if you're in here and I didn't say it. But yeah, we got a few friends and family in here for sure. Um, all right. So okay. Okay. Maybe Jefferson wasn't the move because now there's no running backs left. So I kind of knew that was gonna happen, I guess, but still doesn't feel great, you know, not having any running backs there. I don't mind Chris Olave. I don't really know how I feel about the elite QBs. In general, I don't love taking Josh Allen though, just because like I do like the QBs that go in the 6th round a lot. So in general, I'm not taking a ton of Josh Allen. So we'll pivot away from him. We'll go for Olave there. I think that's fine. I like Olave more than any of these other receivers in this range. So I think that's fine. Uh I don't know. I don't know. What does anyone have any opinions on like the elite QB, the Josh Allens and the Eliminator? Because to me, I guess I'm thinking of like how I think of it in normal drafts where like I like those 6th round QBs so much that I'm not taking quite as much Josh Allen most likely. But you know, the weekly edge he gives you, it probably is pretty good, right? I mean, he's the most consistent QB on the board. He's QB 1 or 2 like every single year for 7 years in a row. So I don't know. The elite QBs are one thing I kind of wonder about in the eliminator that I'm not as sure about. It feels like you probably wouldn't want to go with the Josh Allen because he's so much more expensive. But I don't know. I do feel like the 6th round guys are probably a better value. Lamar might be my favorite elite QB with where he's going. I think I probably agree. I take a lot of Jaden Daniels. So that's my kind of one holdup. And I do like that Jaden falls to closer to the end of the 6th sometimes. But I think you can definitely make the argument for Lamar. And if he's falling closer like that 5-6 turn like he does in some rooms, we're gonna pull up Quinshawn here. Um, but yeah, if Lamar falls closer to that like 5-6 turn like he does in some rooms, then I think he gets to be like a really good value. And I think you could argue he's like the best elite QB price on the board. Just because he's shown it so much more than like Jaden or Drake May, even from a fantasy like ceiling perspective. Uh, but I think Lamar is definitely a reasonable one to pick. I might lean a little towards Jaden though, but I think Lamar is totally fair one. And I do agree, he's a great price where he goes. Like where Lamar goes feels so good, and where Josh Allen goes, I don't really like it. Like I always feel a little bit bad taking Josh Allen. It always feels like way better taking Lamar, Jaden, Drake May, you know, anyone in that tier basically. Burrow if you have a Bengals piece. Josh Allen's great because he win you a matchup by himself. Yeah, but so can Lamar, right? So can Jaden Daniels. I mean, maybe Jaden Daniels is a little less proven at it, but Lamar can definitely win you a matchup as well. High floor, high ceiling. Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. I mean, that's why Josh Allen is the 101, right? Make it consistent. Like, you kind of know what you're getting almost every week with him. And he's been, yeah, no worse than QB2 in, I believe, 7 years. I believe in the last 7 years, he hasn't finished worse than QB2 overall. Maybe it's the last 6 years, but either way, he's ultra consistent. Um, for Eliminator, I'm not too sure. Haven't done a ton yet. Yeah, I haven't done a ton yet either. That I guess that's the one thing I always kind of try to figure out is like not always try to figure out, but like maybe have a little bit of a hard time waiting is the elite onesies in Eliminator. Because like I think I kind of get how I feel in regular format, stuff like that. But like in Eliminator, I can see the case for them and against them. And I guess maybe that's why you just mix them in, hope they pair with the right team, right time kind of thing, right? Almost like any player. But I don't know. They're one of those ones where I don't know. It makes me wonder about it a little bit more if it's like more beneficial or less beneficial in general. Because a big spike at tight end could give you a huge edge over your opponent in a 1v1. But then if you spend a fifth round pick on Loveland, it's like that might give you a huge downside if they got JMO and he spikes instead, right? I did pick Loveland last draft, so maybe this is just a little bit more closer to his normal price, and maybe I'm overdrafting him a little. So maybe we pivot and go with one of the receivers. I like Christian Watson more. I think he actually has a chance to be the one in that offense. No guarantee that he will be, but I think JMO guaranteed won't be. So we'll go Watson there, grab him. Hopefully he can give me a little bit more consistent play with, maybe similar spikes, but hopefully he's not zero balling as much as JMO might. Uh, I think that feels fine. We'll just stand here. I'm up in a couple picks. Lamar goes a bit higher in Elam though. Yeah, it seems like they're pushed up a little bit. It seems like the elite QBs in general are just a little bit more expensive, right? Like these guys are pretty similar prices, but I don't know. I feel like they're maybe a little bit closer to the term, but yeah, Lamar's pushed up. Josh Allen's pushed up because Josh Allen's fallen closer to the turn, but in this, his ADP was like 30. Like, I know he fell to the fourth, but his ADP in this was like, yeah, 30. So it seems like they're all pushed up a little bit. Even Hurts is like still a sixth rounder, right? Just at the very end, but um yeah, it seems like they're pushed up a little bit, especially Lamar and Josh Allen. These guys, I guess, are a little more similar though. But but yeah, it does seem like in general though. So in general strategy, it seems like people are pushing up the elite QBs a little. Um, that in a second. All right. So I wouldn't mind Romo Dunze get a fourth receiver, all different buys, right? I have 2 week 11s, different positions though. That's not too big of a deal. It would either be Rome or Jaden Daniels. Tyler Warren would be okay as well. I think we just go Rome though. We get the fourth receiver. We lock that up. I think I kind of lean into that double anchor. I don't love these other running backs here. Uh, I think I lean into that double anchor a little, get 4 straight receivers after, and then maybe I can start looking at like quarterback and then get back into the running back market. I think that feels pretty good. I think that was a good price on Rome where I got him. Uh, I think he's kind of the end of a tier. Maybe you could argue Marvin Harrison's in that tier, or if you're a Parker Washington enjoyer, I'm not. But maybe you could argue Marvin Harrison's in that tier. But I do think it is a pretty big tier breakout receiver that comes back to me. That I think I think it was an okay pick there with Rome. Uh, Mays like Lamar, but with more running, more rush touchdowns, and the same pass volume, and over a half decade younger. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know about more rushing. Not like not more rushing, right? More rushing touchdowns maybe, but like 450, 421. Obviously that 421 he wasn't playing the whole year. But 450 and especially with him being such a good passer. But like I mean Drake May threw for 4400 yards, let's call it 4394. So 4400 yards, 31 touchdowns. I know Lamar's got there on touchdowns before, but like how often's Lamar thrown for 4,400 yards in his career? Ever? No. It's like, I mean, Drake May is a better passer than Lamar Jackson. at this point. I at least I don't think that would be a hot take, right? Um, and he has better receiving weapons too. So it's like, yeah, I mean, I think Drake May gives you a ton more as a passer than Lamar does. Lamar's touchdown rate historically is really high, so maybe he can get there with a super high touchdown rate, but like I think Drake May as a passer kind of washes him. As a rusher, I mean, I don't think so rushing yards wise. If they're both healthy, Lamar will definitely have quite a bit more. But touchdowns, maybe he does get close. Maybe he gets a little bit more of that goal line in. I think as a passer, Drake May is capable of like a 5K passing season. I don't really know if Lamar would have that in his bag. Um, all right. So this is Eliminator. Stacking doesn't matter. Let's just go Justin Herbert. I love Justin Herbert. Love his price. I think he should probably go higher. So we'll go Herbert, and then let's just get. I think I'm J.K. Dobbins over Harvey. Oh yeah. I'm a couple picks away. For some reason, I thought I had a turn pick for a second, but hopefully I get Dobbins back. That would be good. If not, I'll probably pick one of these other running backs. Yeah, and then I'll just kind of go quarterback, running back, kind of like I was saying I was planning on. Uh, yeah, I think that'll work out pretty good on that turn if I get that back. Allen led QBs 3x last year. T-Law, Caleb Mahomes 2x. I'll be under 8% on the elite QBs. Like had like the QB1 score. Is that what you're saying? QB1 for the week? Um, Yeah, I mean that's a fair point, right? You can kind of patch it together with the lower guys, right? If you got Stafford and Drake May last year, then you're probably killing all those teams that had an elite QB because maybe Josh Allen beats them some weeks, but you have a third round pick that they don't. So yeah, I mean I think that's fair. QB is definitely replaceable. There is just the upside of like the nuke week thing, right? Like a guy can nuke and really just really take over the slate. And like if you're in the head to heads that week and that guy it's early on and Josh Allen goes crazy, then that might like hurt a lot of your teams or something. But I do get the idea of being more out on it, just kind of building with other guys. QB has a ton of parity at the position. Like, Jared Goff can put up a 30-point game as long as he's like hot if they're in a dome, especially or something. So I get that if you're more out on the elite QBs. But I do think there is the upside of like the single week that can win. It can win you the week, right? The week winning performance is maybe a little bit more likely coming out of that elite QB. Do I want Dak over Alec Pierce? Do I want the second quarterback? Yeah, I think we go Dak there. I was kind of thinking about getting back in at running back, like I was saying. Dobbins did go. I don't mind Corum, but I was thinking with Dak falling, Eliminator, like I said, I really don't care about stacking. If I can get a skinny stack or something later, I'll do it. We might throw T. Ferguson, Gadsden, and Trey Harris on this team. But I'm not really too worried about stacking. I think Herbert and Dak are both pretty fair prices where they go. I think Herbert's actually a really good price, and Dak is like Dak's okay. It's a little bit of a faller. We got 10 picks on him. You don't hardly ever see Dak fall, so I got maybe a little bit too excited. Um, but we grabbed Dak there, and my guy JK was gone. So we go Dak there. I think that feels fine to me. I just need to make sure I try to get running backs here. There might not be much left. I might have pushed it a little bit too hard at running back, but that's fine. We'll still try to build out of it the best we can. And I do have a, decently strong top two. So maybe they help carry me through. Maybe I can get more of a, some later guys popping a couple weeks into the year. Al Boogie, what's up, people? Hey, what's up, Al Boogie? Thanks for stopping by, bro. Appreciate it. Fantasy Football Garage, 1v1 me, bro. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hopefully I run into you in the season. I'll be on Twitter. I'll be on your ass posting it, talking all the trash. But hell yeah. Hey, what's up, Fantasy Football Garage? Thanks for stopping by, bro. The Candyman, my dog. Um, yeah, and yeah, 1v1 me. I mean, hey, I don't know. That's what makes this tournament so fun, right? It's like hoping that you get the matchups with the people you know. You can see them in the head to head, see what they built, watch your team just crush them. And then you can look at the BBMDB site. You can see all the guys that advanced teams with like 80 points because they got the pod luck. Your team with 170 gets eliminated or whatever. So I don't know. It's just a fun contest. Really fun to look at. Fun to like keep sweating. Really high sweat equity in the eliminator. So always fun to fun to rip them, but fun to watch them after. Some best ball teams are, you don't really have a ton of fun till like that week 15 hits or something. But in Eliminator, you get a couple weeks in, you're already starting to kind of look at them and everything. So always kind of fun. Do I want a man running back? Running backs tore up. Let's just get a running back. This guy has 6 running backs. Good for him, I guess. King Calorie. Going crazy. The Kyle Monaghan pick is wild. The Kyle Monaghan pick ahead of ADP when you already have 5 running backs is fucking crazy. But you do you. But yeah, so we'll grab a running back there. We're gonna reach on JCM a little bit. Not my proudest moment, reach on Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. I'm not happy with myself, but as you can see, the running backs were pretty much gone. It was either JCM or C Rod. Not great options all around. Uh, do I want to reach on Tyrone Tracy? Probably not. I should probably just get into the tight end market after this, go Fan and Laporta. There were a lot of good tight ends available. I didn't think they would take them all. And, it looks like they're going to give me one of the two at least. But only Pitts goes, unfortunately, the best of them all, as Zero would tell you. But I'm pretty happy getting Laporta or Harold Fan in here. Obviously, I prefer Laporta. You can see that by my exposures, but either one would be good. Yeah, we'll just go Laporta. That's just kind of my preference. Better offense, higher touchdown scoring potential. Fannon's a little bit more of a mystery box. They bring in 2 high draft capital rookies. I think to me it makes Laporta a pretty easy pick over Fannin. Like almost everything is kind of going against Fannin. Like who's his quarterback even going to be? How good are they going to be? How good are these new weapons they brought in? Are they going to take away a lot of work from them? With Laporta, it's really just, is he healthy? Is he going to be playing fully? We know the offense is good. We know he has a solid role in that offense. We know he's a pretty good red zone weapon in that offense. So I always feel pretty good with Laporta, and definitely over Fannin. I think I pretty much always take him over Fannin, to be honest. Over 14-week season, sure, but 1v1 Josh Allen is great. Right. That makes sense. He can win you any week and just give you the edge, right? He gives you an 8-point edge. That might be all you need. So that's totally fair. Only downside is week 7 bye being a bit early. Yeah, that's true, but you can cover it if you try to matchup play it, right? Like you can definitely do some stuff for that. Like you could even get Geno. I mean, like Geno plays the Dolphins, right? So I like week 7. I'm pretty sure Jets play Dolphins week 7. Um, but yeah, like you could try to plan around it, something like that too. I don't trust Lamar's hamstring. That's fair. He's dealt with injuries multiple years in a row. It does worry me a little bit with a guy like him, even a guy like Jaden Daniels too. Not as much as a hamstring, but just being like, a more slender build rushing quarterback. I think not trust him with injuries. Like, I definitely can understand that. And I think it's always a risk, but the upside is just so high with those guys. It's tough, but if you want to hold off on him, make sure he makes it through summer a little bit better because it's not like Lamar's price is going to rise significantly. If anything, the quarterbacks are probably all going to fall a little bit. Lamar might stay kind of sticky, but either way, what I'm getting at is, if you want to wait through the summer, make sure he gets through camp okay, all that, no setbacks or anything like that happen, nothing weird. I think that's pretty reasonable. And if you want to be a little bit lower on him for injury risk, there's a lot of good quarterbacks, a lot of good values. I don't think it's the craziest thing. And he is the second most expensive quarterback. It just in general, pricing wise, I think there can be a decent argument to fade him for that reason alone. All right, here. I wouldn't mind a tight end. Okay, running back, they killed running backs. So we'll just go Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews is fine. I can stop at 2 tight ends, call it a day there. I think that's fine. I definitely got left behind at running back a little bit in this one, but I think Mark Andrews there is fine. Gives me 2 tight ends I can probably count on. I can probably be done if I want. Maybe I want a third. But that's probably okay. I'm probably just looking at now. Woody Marks, Algier. Yeah, I'll probably pull up one of these running backs if they make it. If they don't, I might switch to receiver and go like Conception. I don't think I want a quarterback. I think I spent enough early capital. I probably just want to stop at the 2. I might want another tight end, but probably not right now. So it's probably like I said, one of these 2 running backs or KC. uh Laporta in the McBride role is gonna cook. Hell yeah, brother. Drew Petzing's gonna use him right. And then JMO is JMO's kind of cooked with Drew Petzing as the OC. Let's be real. But Laporta is going to cook. Um, yeah, no, I think Laporta will be pretty good in that system. Obviously he's not Trey McBride, but I think we've already seen him be good, be efficient in the red zone. Even last year, it's not like Laporta was that bad when he was healthy. He was like tight end 7 points per game or something. So I mean, he's already similar to his current pick. So I don't know. I'm not too worried about it. Still young, great offense still. I like Laporta. And yeah, I mean, at least it is an OC who has shown he uses tight ends in the receiving game, right? Even when it was Ertz, he was getting a decent role. So it's like, I don't know, yeah, at least he uses the tight ends in the receiving game. I guess he wasn't with Ertz, but like whatever. Like, use tight ends in the receiving game. Maybe you can get a little bit creative with them. So that feels pretty good. That feels pretty good. Uh how much Deshaun Watson do you have? He's the starter, right? Hey, he's the starter, right? That's a I don't know about that one. Maybe they said this past week that Shadur bridged the gap. They said that Shadur may have bridged the gap. I believe that's the exact wording on it. But they were talking up Shadur a little bit, saying that it's a little bit more competitive in camp now for that or QB1 spot. Um, I think if you so I don't have any Deshaun in normal format. We can look in like super flex. I probably have some in super flex. Uh let's see. We can go over here. Completed. We can look at my super flex. Browns. Okay, so I have 4% Shadur and actually no Deshaun Watson. I think I do have a little bit of him in some of my slows, but apparently I'm not clicking him really much at all. Let's look at my pre-draft. And we're still 6 picks away, so we're good. We'll go back to the draft in just a second. Browns. We got Boston, KC, Quinshawn, underweight. Yeah, no, I'm pretty low on a lot of them. We got 3% Shadur in pre-draft as well. No Deshaun. So I have 0% Deshaun Watson, I guess, in my portfolio, other than maybe like 2 or 3 field general slows that are going. Um, so yeah, I'm not really picking much Deshaun. I think he's a guy like here's what it more is, I guess. Here's the thing. I think in Eliminator, it could be pretty reasonable to pick him as the 3rd quarterback. I think in a normal build, it also could be. But like so often, what I'm doing is if I need a 3rd QB, I'm more trying to do it beforehand, like trying to get a Rodgers or something. Like Rodgers is kind of my go-to guy in that sense. I mean, Jalen Naylor, they've been talking him up, new team. Ryan Flournoy, get a little stack. We got Naylor. That's cool. I don't have any Flournoy. People have been hyping the shit out of this guy. I don't really get it. I know he cooked a little bit when CD got hurt, but if no one gets hurt, this seems like a pretty fucking expensive price for the 3rd receiver on Dallas. Um, I don't know. I mean, maybe, I mean, he definitely had some big spikes and there is some injury contingent, but like pick 160 for an injury contingent wide receiver seems like kind of crazy to me. Um, but we go Naylor there. I think that's fine. I mean, I don't know. I don't mind the Naylor pick. I think they were talking up him and Trey Tucker both, to be honest. So I think just taking shots on Raiders wide receiver 1 feels decent. Like one of them will probably be a pretty big winner as long as no one gets signed. So just taking shots is fine. I obviously prefer Trey Tucker a little bit, but I think taking a shot here and there on Naylor is totally fine, totally reasonable. Um, I mean, do I want Flournoy? I don't have any Dallas pieces. It is a stack. I literally have 0%. Like I know I was saying I think he's a bad pick, but obviously I have 0%. That kind of shows it. Yeah, why not? Let's get the Flournoy stacked up. Maybe I've been hating too hard. Wide receiver 3 on Dallas is the guy you need at pick 160. Um, we'll get some Flournoy there. And that probably offended some people. I know some people are big Flournoy fans, so that might have been offensive, and I'm sorry if it was. I have big bags of Fannin and Samson. Huh, that's interesting to me. I get the Samson one. I don't think I had a ton, but I totally get that one. He's a pass catcher. He had a pretty good pass catching role. I think the Samson makes sense. He's cheap enough. The Fannin one, I just have a hard time because I like Pitts and I like Laporta a lot where they go. And I just feel like they both have less question marks than Fannin. Maybe you could say Pitts does. His good games were a lot when Drake London was just out. New system, new quarterbacks. Obviously, it's Stefanski, so you would assume it's beneficial for Pitts, but we don't know for sure. And he does have some questionable stuff about his season last year. But to me, I have a hard time with Fannin over Laporta or Pitts. I think that's my main thing. And I do just not have much faith in that offense or their quarterback play. Um, and yeah, and I also do like the receivers too, like as talent. So I don't know. That all kind of leads me away from Fannin, but I do think his price is like reasonable now. It just happens to be that I like the other guys that go around him more, I think, is what has me solo on him. Because I like Pitts and Laporta both more. I appreciate you talking about the Browns. Not many streamers want to. Hey, yeah, no, I mean, no problem. I'll talk about any team, but I might not be the most like positive about them, but no, I mean, I don't know. I think the Browns, the biggest question to me is, are we even going to get halfway decent QB play, right? Like that's what it really comes down to at the end of the day, probably, is can Deshaun Watson like show up even a little bit as the guy that used to be there? Or not even used to be there, but used to be in Houston, basically. Um, but like, can he get some of that zip on the ball, some of that arm power back? Now that he's a couple years removed from like that shoulder surgery, maybe not like recovering from as much, not like recovering as much and actually like coming in kind of healthier and stuff. Maybe Watson can get there, whole new system. Maybe him and Stefanski just wasn't what we needed. Maybe Watson can be decent and they should have talent. I think the Browns, if they're a team you think will beat expectations, I think they could definitely be like a really good buy for that reason because they are undervalued because everyone just thinks they're going to be a bad offense. And I think the big part of it to me is just the QB play. Like I can buy into their offensive talent. Like I think Fannin's good. I think Judkins a great running back. I like both those rookie receivers as well, even. But I just really question, I think, the quarterback play more than anything. Uh Trey Harris, sure, stacked up. Yeah, Trey Harris as my seventh receiver is probably fine. My running backs are hurting in this build. We're probably not making it out of about week 1 or 2, but we'll keep on trying. I definitely got left behind at running back a little bit. Definitely should have been a little bit more on that early. I kind of kept pushing it because the runs kept going before me. And I should have just reached at some point on maybe like a third RB instead of keeping pushing it. But that's okay. We're still figuring out the format a little bit, figuring out the pocket. So it's fine. It's fine. And I think my running back room is viable enough, but I definitely got left behind at running back a little bit in this one. We'll just go Braylon Allen. That's chill. That's a different buy. Same as Genty, but it's not too bad as my fifth RB this late. I'm not super worried about it. Um, that's fine. Probably go like 2-7-7-2 and try to make it through like that. I think that's the plan. 2-7-7-2. Hopefully, I get lucky with one of these super late running backs. I think Quinshon and Genty can hopefully get me by for a while, but I'll probably eventually need one of these guys to pay off. So probably going 2-7-7-2, hoping I get some late RBs that maybe one of them hits somewhere. That's probably the plan for the build now. I'm full fading Fannin playing Browns through Judkins, Sampson, Boston, KC. Yeah, I'm actually decently similar. I think I didn't have a ton of Sampson, but I do like both the receivers. So yeah, the Phantom one's a little bit hard. Phantom fade is scary to me. If I were you, I'd get my Phantom in a 350 entry FFPC team, huh? Yeah, no, I mean, hey, and I'm gonna do some of those. I will be doing some big gorillas on stream a little bit later in the summer, so I might try to. Um, yeah, I think the Fannin thing is just what's the scoring upside in the offense, and then is his target volume is safe. Njoku's gone, but Njoku missed a lot of time last year as it was. And there's just so much more receiving talent, at least in theory, right? I mean, last year was basically like Isaiah Bond, wide receiver one for some weeks. If not, it was more like Harold Phantom, wide receiver one some weeks. But like they just had so little receiving talent. I mean, Judy either is washed or just didn't really want to play, whatever it might have been. I just feel like this year there's so much more competition. There's a lot of historical data to make full fan and faded very comfortable. Yeah, no, I kind of agree. He was now I will say though, for the Phantom Bulls, Fannin was a great player and he was really good at commanding targets. Like there's a lot of good with Fannin as a player. I think a lot of it's just the team environment and just all the other factors around him make it a little bit harder to pick him to me. Rose versus Pro argument for Flournoy. He goes directly next to the wide receiver 3/CB1 on Jacksonville and the wide receiver 3 on the Jets. Wide receiver. Well, I mean, but you're saying Omar Cooper is worse than AD Mitchell then. I mean, like, but see, here's I guess the issue. Let me make this pick. We'll go Jaden Blue. We'll go Jaden Blue. The little stack thing popped up. I said I'm going 2 more running backs. We're at the bottom of the barrel. We're just gonna grab Jaden Blue. But I think here's the big difference with like those examples. So Ryan Flournoy is the wide receiver 3, right? But the wide receiver 2 goes at pick 24. So like the competition is absurd, right? And you're saying like Omar Cooper, but the wide receiver 2 goes at 185 if it's AD Mitchell, right? I mean, because it's Garrett Wilson, then Omar Cooper, then AD Mitchell. It's a lot more ambiguous, right? Who's wide receiver 2 and 3? Even that, right? And wide receiver 3 on the Jets. You're kind of making a little bit of a joke or you're assuming it's AD. It's because it's ambiguous. You can make a reasoning. Why is it Omar? Why is it AD? Who's actually going to be 2? Jacksonville. How much does Hunter play? When Hunter plays a lot of snaps, he's super efficient. How much do those other guys play, right? That's why none of them go above the 6th round. With Flournoy, it's like, what are you even? We'll go running back. We'll go Jordan James. Maybe CMC's, Achilles starts acting up before the year and I got a starter before week 1 even. That's fine. Mainly just joking around with that last one. I think that's fine though. But I do think that's a big part of it is like you have to consider the strength of those other receivers and is it ambiguous? What is the case for this guy smashing, right? Or this guy significantly beating ADP? And it feels to me a lot of it with Flournoy is the case is someone gets hurt. The case for AD Mitchell is he outplays Omar Cooper, or Omar Cooper takes a while to get on the field. AD Mitchell's more like wide receiver 2 or like vice versa, right? And like I think with Hunter, he's so weird. When he played a good amount of snaps last year, he really did spike and he took those other guys off the field. He had really high target rate per route, stuff like that. How many routes does he play? I think the Hunter thing's weird, but if they play him a lot, then he has the spikes. It's just how much do they play him? But like I think with Hunter, it's the issue is you can make the argument that when Hunter's on the field, he's the most talented of all the Jacksonville receivers. Where like Flournoy is not, right? He's very clearly the 3rd best receiver on the team. Well, he's very clearly not in the top 2, I guess would be a better way to put it actually. But like I can see the upside and it is a great offense, but I do think that's the main difference there. But I mean that's a fair argument though. There's other wide receiver 3s around there. I'm not trying to like like pick at it too hard, but I do think that's the biggest difference. Pitts got paid a lot too. That's facts. Yeah, they committed to him long term. Stefanski in there, super high tight end usage. I mean, who made Harold Fannin? That's another thing with Harold Fannin. Who made Harold Fannin look so good? Who used him as the H-back in the backfield? Who ran him at the goal line? Kevin Stefanski, 2-time coach of the year. And then now he's in Atlanta with Kyle Pitts. They just paid Kyle Pitts a bunch of money. I think Kyle Pitts is going to get some good usage, According to House, they play the Colts week 17, right? That team could be in disarray if Daniel Jones doesn't make it to week 17. Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. Wait, who? The Browns? Okay, yeah, the Browns. Um, yeah, yeah, no, I mean, I guess that's true. I don't know. I don't think that's something you can totally bet on, but yeah, that is true. The Colts could be falling apart. Obviously, contingent upside aside. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. What's your opinion on the weekly winners? Oh, what's up, Mary Mosby? Thanks for stopping by. Um, I'm not a huge fan. I think it's like it's really top heavy, so it's really hard to get a meaningful payday out of any given week. Like you really got to hit the nuts, and it is such a big field. Um, we could look at the tournament structure quick. Yeah, let's do that, and then we can look at we'll look at the eliminator teams we just drafted. We'll try to go through those quick, but we'll answer this. All right. So when you look at it, 186,000 entrants, right? And then any given week to really make a good payment, you need to be like, I guess it depends how much you put in, but even like top 50, right? That's only $50 out of 186,000 entrants. Now the min cash is decent. You have a decent chance to, kind of like make 7 or 15 here and there and kind of get your money back, maybe break even. But I think it's so top heavy in such a huge tournament, and you have to play against every single one of those teams every week. I just don't love the structure. It's not my favorite. I don't do many of them. That's just my preference. I know like we got a guy in the chat, Zero Fucks. He loves the weekly winners, I think. He talks about them. He talks about them somewhat regularly, but I'm not a huge fan. I think it's just like too top heavy, too big of a tournament. I would actually prefer if it was like a higher stakes tournament with like a smaller field, like a $50 entry or something. I would actually probably be more open to doing weekly winners. But I think with it being so difficult to actually get a meaningful payout, I'm just not a fan, like because it depends how much volume you do, but at $10 a pop, and when it takes a top 50 entry to even get $50 back, it takes a top 15 entry to get a grand. And granted, that does run every single week, but I don't know. I think it's a little bit too top heavy for me to really like it. And I also think it's like it's a format where you can do a lot of different builds, a lot of different strategies. So maybe that is kind of fun, kind of interesting. Um, but I don't know. I'm just not a huge fan of the format. It's not a format I've like really researched super heavy. Each year I've kind of done like 5 to 10 most years. So it's just not my favorite. I'll do maybe a couple through the summer, but one of my least favorite tournaments on Underdog for me personally. Um, Laporta is better than Fannin, and we even saw him take a step back when any other wide receiver took a step forward, that being JMO. Um, yeah, no, that's true. That's true. He did have the back injury, but that's true. I'm never taking Florino over Hunter. I'm for the most part not either. I wouldn't in a normal draft. I mean, you saw I had 0% Flournoy, so I mean, I'm pretty much never. But that one, if I did, it was the stack and Eliminator a little bit different. Hunter might kind of ramp up as the season goes on offense. So Eliminator I think might be a little different, but I can definitely agree with that take. I think Judy will bounce back. Boston and KC will demand more targets than Tillman and Bond. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Ed and I true talent versus Florida is no comparison. LOL. I mean, hey, fair enough. Fair enough. I don't, like I said, I'm not a Flournoy believer, but AD, I don't know. AD has a talent. I just don't know if that talent is being a good football wide receiver, but he definitely has a talent at getting open downfield, so he can do that. I just don't know if he can catch it. I'd rather have Jerry Judy. You guys are silly. Um, you'd rather have Jerry Judy over Bannon or over the rookies. I mean, hey, Jerry Judy, he didn't do too much last year. I mean, hey, you want to bet on the bounce back? I can see it. Just 2 years ago, Jerry Judy was pretty good. It wasn't that long ago. He was putting up a good season. But I mean, hey, these rookies are high picks. They picked a guy in the first round. Casey Conception, he ain't no joke. He's not a day 3 guy. First round rookie receiver, right? He's at least somewhat legit. He has some draft capital. They invested in him. I drafted Jerry Judy. Thank you for looking into it. I drafted Jerry Judy. Thanks for looking into it. You do get 17 swings added in weekly winners at least. Oh, for looking at weekly winners, yeah. Yeah, that's just kind of my opinion, but I do understand if you like it. And I do think it opens you up to a lot of different strategies. Like you can do like a single QB build, a single tight end build, like a lot more viably, right? Because you can just do like Josh Allen QB1, no other QBs, just put it all at skill positions. And then it's just like any week Josh Allen spikes, your team can be in contention if you layered the right other skill positions with them, right? So like, you can do different stuff, try to do different builds, or like you can even aim for like Zero saying one big hit. You can do different builds and stuff, but like some strategy people do is like aim for certain weeks or target certain matchups certain weeks. Like, you're like week 6, I'm gonna go for it on this build because I figured out how to schedule it. I'm not saying like Zero does that or anyone in particular, but like that can be a strategy too in weekly winners. I think there can be a lot of fun stuff you can do with it and a lot of game theory and a lot of like I don't know, interesting stuff with it. It's just not when I play a ton because I don't love the structure, like I was saying, but it can definitely be very interesting. You can definitely try out a lot of different stuff in it. So I don't know. I like the game theory aspect of it. I don't know why I kind of got pulled into it. Yeah, no, that's fair. And it does have a lot of interesting game theory, a lot of interesting build types that you can't do in normal formats viably. It just looked good, but you talking about it makes more sense. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, there's pros and cons. There's pros and cons. And you do get 17 shots. Like I will say for me personally, like I said, I've done between 5 and 10 most years, but most years like closer to 10, so like $100 in. Most years I finish like right around break even in Eliminator specifically, or not in Eliminator, in weekly winners, like my lower entries. Because like those are like $7 and $15 hits they like either like one year I basically made $20, one year I like lost $20 on weekly winners, right? Because I do low volume in it. But those little hits, they do make up for a good chunk of it. So it's not like the worst EV tournament. It's just really hard to hit those like meaningful payouts if you do like big volume. But you got big volume and you got a lot of shots. And if you're building it smart, kind of trying to do like build a well-rounded portfolio or a portfolio, however you like I don't know, want to build it when considering like, all those drafts in it together. Um, I don't know. It can be a good contest. It's just not when I play a ton, but I don't know. Hopefully I gave more good info than like, hopefully I didn't confuse you more. Cause I do kind of ramble and talk in circles a little bit sometimes with that. You make 17 different weekly lineups, one that's week 1, week 2, etc. Um, no, it's I mean, oh no, it's just like a draft. It's a normal draft, but every week is like a new slate. So like your team, like it doesn't matter what you did week 1. It just like you get paid out for week 1, then you're on to week 2. But your team could have scored 0 week 1, and like you're still on to week 2. There's no elimination, nothing. It's just like it's basically just a gigantic BR that runs every single week of the year, but you draft your team right now. So you draft one team, and that's like a BR that a battle royale that runs like every week, basically out of those teams. Um, Zero, have you used all your entries? Nah, he's probably saved some, but he's probably got a good chunk in. Zero maxes, many a contest. Well, I love playing NFL dailies, so weekly winners is basically dailies, but 8 months ahead of time, which is fun. Fair enough, fair enough. See, and I'm not a huge daily guy. I like the dailies a little. I haven't used all my entries. LOL, but I've done 75 so far. All right. So what we will do through on my so we're about caught up. We can look at the last teams. If anyone would like me to, I can look at your team. I could go through them quick. I'll go through them quick, and then we'll rip another eliminator. And that'll probably be it. We'll do one more. I've never maxed weekly winners before, but I'll try to max this year. My best cash was 9th place 2 years ago, but I was close to first. Need to get in the lab. And I mean, 9th place, that's a good payout, right? Like, I don't know if the structure was exactly the same, but like, you hit a 9th place and then boom, you're totally paid for the year. If you maxed it, you hit a 9th place. I don't know if the structure was exactly the same, like I said, but boom, you're already paid for the year. Everything else is just gravy on top. It's all profit, right? So it does just take one, and even if you do volume, you could have a chance. Yeah, I don't know. It definitely is an interesting tournament for sure, though. Uh, Sorry to ask, but could you describe the eliminator? I've only drafted one team. Sure, I got you. We're gonna hop into another, so I will get back to that in just 1 second. Jury duty season last year was similar to Lad and BT Junior. LOL. Hey, fair enough, fair enough. But Jerry Judy's a little bit further along in the career. You know, could be hitting an age cliff. Those guys could be sophomore slumping. What's up, fam? Hey, what's up, Who Ames? Thanks for stopping by, bro. Appreciate it. And check out Who Ames in a little bit. You know, he'll be live with his Sunday night stream, I think, in about an hour or so. Get a bit freaky. Bears are too expensive overall, but I take them more in weekly winners. Them. You didn't. I appreciate your info. I believe in you, Zero. Yeah, no, Zero gives good info. He's a big time player, big time volume. All right. So sorry to ask, but could you describe Eliminator? So yeah, sure. So basically week 1, 6 out of 12 you play against your pod. So right, you just got to be top 6 week 1, bottom 6 are eliminated, and then it's fully head to head beyond that, right? 1 out of 2, 1 out of 2. Every single week you'll play a different random team that's remaining. It won't be a team from your pod in week 2, it'll be a different random team out of the remaining whatever it is, 95,000 people or whatever. And then, and then so on and so on. So, right. So, week 1, half the teams are gone. The next week, another half the teams are gone. So, you're down to 25% of the teams by week 3. Half of them are gone, half of them are gone, so on and so forth. And you start getting payments week 4. So, week 4, you get your $10 entry back. If you make it to week 5, you get 20. Week 6 is 31. Week 7 is 52. 102, 200 for week 8. Or wait, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 is 200. 10 is 500, and then 11 is 1,000. So and so on and so forth, right? So then week 12 is 2K. Week 13 is 5K. Week 14 is 10. 15 is 20. And then, yeah, okay. So if you make it to week 16, you get 50. And then the finals is a 3-man finals. So, and I think it shows that up top. Yeah, 3-seat final. So, and then the final is 200, 176. So, but basically, it's just half the field is eliminated every single week of the season. The first week is 6 out of 12, and then every single week just that head to head. And really the biggest thing is like, don't overlap the bye weeks, especially early, especially at the same position, right? You probably can't take that much of a hit at one position or that much hit with a lot of your early capital. It'll be very hard to get through that week. Um, don't try to push running back too hard, probably because you can't really afford like a 0 RB type build. Maybe you can if you hit the right guys late, so don't be like 100% discouraged from it. But like, you need some projected points. You really need to lock in some projected points early, right? Week 1 matters just as much as week 17. So if you have any low weeks, you get eliminated. So it's like just really locking in those projected points. I would say just don't push running back too hard. You can get left behind at QB a little bit easier. Sometimes people get pretty QB thirsty in these, I've noticed. I've only done like 7, but I've even noticed a little bit people like, when it starts getting low, they'll start pulling up the Cam Wards, the Daniel Jones, the CJ Strouds. I've seen that in a few lobbies lately. Um, but yeah, I guess that's pretty much it for the eliminator. Those would be my main points, main ideas behind it. Other than that, though, not too much different, I don't think. Um, or not too much different, but not too much else, I don't think. There can be a little other like game theory stuff like that, but I don't. I think if you just follow those main things or those main ideas, it should be pretty much all you need to know, at least like to kind of get into it. It was the same. Okay, it was the same. Yeah. I believe in you too, Marion. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, Marion. You can do it. You can do it. If you commit, weekly winners is one too. A lot of people do avoid it. Like a lot of people do less volume in it. There's a lot less content about it as well. So if you do feel like you can find a way to get an edge, it might be easier in something like weekly winners than it is in other formats. Like there's just a lot less content, a lot less information around it. Might be a little bit easier to find an edge or something in that other people aren't exploring. So that could be something too in weekly winners. I mean, that could be something too. No worries if you don't talk about it. You spend a good minute telling us about weekly winners. Oh no, it's all good. It's all good. I mean, hey, I'm not worried about it. I don't got anything to do other than this. So, that sounds fun. You are legally obligated to eat a bowl of my soul. Whoa, Sam, you got to chill, my boy. You got to chill. Usually they say I get like Ron Burgundy by reading stuff out loud, but but you were going way too wild, bro. Way too wild there. Yeah, you got to chill. Um, count backwards from finals is easier. All right, bro. All right, we're putting you in timeout. You're in timeout, brother. I'm sorry. That it was a little funny, but doing it more than once, you got to chill, bro. You got to chill. Um, I hope you're talking about Eliminator now with the troll suggested variant. True. What's up, Armin? Hey, what's up, Paulino? Thanks for stopping by, bro. All right. The Eliminator sounds fun. Sidekick uses a dipping toes into weekly winners. Time for us sharks to smell blood. Hell yeah. There you go. Get those get those sidekicks, get the auto clickers, get them out of there. What's up, Paulino? Thanks for stopping by, bro. What's up, Disbanded? Dot, thanks for stopping by, bro. Appreciate it. All right. Is anyone gonna try to queue with him in this next eliminator? Probably. Hartman, you need a secretary to screen your chat before reading it out loud. I didn't say anything bad, I don't think. I got right before it, and I didn't say anything too crazy, I don't think. Maybe I did. But yeah, we caught it. We need mods. Yeah, I might make maybe I'll make some of you guys mods after this one. I got to go on YouTube to make mods though, so might might be after the stream, but I probably will. Maybe I will. I'll make Paulino a mod. All right, I might make Paulino a mod. Paulino's a day one. He been here. We'll make him a mod after the after the stream. We have to eat a bowl of what? I didn't even see that comment. All right, well, good. It was better for your eyes. Better for your eyes. Oh, it's handled. All right, thanks, Best Ball on Call. We got a mod in the chat. He's here. He's ready. All right. So I'll tell you what. We're gonna hop in the eliminator. I'll count it down. If you want to join, if you want to join, go for it. But I will count it down from 10. And then if anyone was in that last draft, if you want me to review your team, let me know in the chat and we can look at it quick while this one's starting up and stuff. But we're going to hop in the last eliminator in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, we're in, waiting on 2 for the eliminator. I'm going to get some more water real quick. But I'll be right back. Looks like waiting on 1 for the eliminator, and then we'll hop in that draft. I'll be right back though. All right, we're back. All right, so it looks like we got the eliminator started. We're in here with we got 0 at the 3, Kale Elliott at the 6. I'm at the 8. Mute bars at the 10. Do we got anyone else in here? If you're in here and I didn't shout you out, let me know. We got Panthers 1, 2, 3, 4, and we got Panther 2, 3, 2, 3. So that one's kind of intriguing, someone on both their accounts. They're on the main and the burner at the same time. Kind of intriguing with that one, but yeah, those are all the names I recognize. Let me know if you're in here though. I didn't shout you out. Paulino, good job. Always love the Hartman reviews. All right. We'll check it. We'll check out zeros. If anyone else wants to review, let me know. We were saying Johnny Taylor has a bad opening schedule. Genty has a great opening schedule. Let's lean Genty. His first couple weeks, they're pretty good overall. I think, well, they get Miami week 1. I know the Chiefs are in there, but I think they also have Tennessee and the Jets in there. So It's a good opening schedule for Genty. It's not as good for Taylor, so we'll lean Genty. If I was doing like, why do more volume of these later? I'll probably be a little bit more locked down that early schedule, and I probably will be balancing a little bit. Looking at just eliminator exposures. Like these are just my normal draft exposures. Um, so I probably will consider that a little bit more later, but I'm not putting a ton of weight into it. And I think Genty and Taylor are close enough. We'll just go Genty. We'll build, as Kurt Rambis would say, we'll build a fucking shipper. So that always feels pretty good getting Genty there. And I wouldn't mind Walker. I mean, I love me some Kenny Walker. I think Chase Brown is fine. A little scary. He started super slow last year, but offense should be cooking out the gate. They never are with the Bengals for some reason, but in theory, they could be this year. I think we just go Chase Brown, lock up the second running back. Man, I do kind of want to take A-Chain over Chase Brown. A-Chain's so much better as a player than Chase Brown, but Chase Brown plays on the Bengals. A-Chain plays on the Dolphins. Let's just go with the good offense. Hopefully he's getting some high amount of red zone touches yet again and just plays on a really good offense. Super explosive guy. A-Chain's so much of a better player than Chase Brown, but his team is so much worse. So we'll lean Chase Brown over A-Chain this time. Pretty a little bit lower on both, but I think they're both okay picks. I feel a little more comfortable with Chase Brown though. I mean, Samaje's taken a little bit of work away, but it's not even enough to really make Samaje fantasy relevant. It just hurts Chase Brown a little bit in that receiving role. And either way, he's handling pretty much all the carries on there, a lot of the goal line work, if not almost all the goal line work. So Chase Brown feels good where he goes, plays on a great offense. Can't hate it too much, even if he's not my favorite player. All right, we can look at Zero's team real quick. From the last draft. I'm pulling it up in another tab. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, that I can see what pick him up. Okay. I guess I can read off my team too. I had 2772, Herbert Dak, good 2 QB room. Maybe want third, but that's fine. Genty, Quinshawn, JCM, Woody Marks, Braylon Allen, Jaden Blue, Jordan James. Kind of a weaker running back room that I would like. I would have liked a better third. Kind of got left behind, but did a lot of volume after. Hopefully one of these guys comes on, but hopefully the double anchor helps early enough. I can get through with top three guys. Would have liked a better third though, like I was saying. Justin Jefferson, Chris Olave, Christian Watson, Romo Dunze, Jalen Naylor, Ryan Flournoy, Trey Harris. It's a fine receiver room, really strong top four. So I think that's okay. Got some later guys for some spike upside, hopefully. Feels fine. Laporta Andrews, I think that's good. So feel decent with my team. Running back, I pushed it probably a little bit too hard. And then receiver felt pretty good. I had a strong top tier guys. Zero went 3573. Drake May, Baker Jones, good QB room like that. CMC, Derrick Henry, RJ Harvey, Tyrone Tracy, James Conner. Super strong double anchor. Two guys kind of split backfields. RJ Harvey more so than Tracy, but two guys who are both explosive, both have big contingent upside. Both will get touches either way. So I think that feels good there. You're throwing Connor on late for the hoping he gets traded thing. I think that's a fine bet. And Emeka, DJ Moore, Jordan Tyson, Alec Pierce, Jerry Jeudy, Malik Washington, Cooper Kupp. I think that's a pretty good receiver room. Like the top four, Emeka, Moore, Tyson, Pierce. I think that's a good top four. Got great value on Pierce, injury scare news. So 103 for him is great. Jeudy, Malik, Kupp. I think that's fine at the end. You get Jeudy and Kupp. Hope they give you some floor. Malik maybe does too. Maybe he's wide receiver one for maybe the whole year, maybe at least early though. McBride, Chig, Juwan, really strong tight end room. Overall, I think it's pretty solid. Could maybe argue you could have thrown some of that tight end at receiver since you had such a strong starter up top. But I think your receiver room was strong enough that it makes sense to try to get maybe more flex points with that third tight end. So I think pretty solid build overall, Zero. I like it. All right, and then let's go back to this. So I picked Rashee Rice. You guys didn't see that. My bad. But so we go Rashee Rice in the third. Let's go Scatabo in the fourth. Let's get my third running back in here. Let's get a guy with a different buy, no overlapping buys through my first four picks. We finally made it here. So I think that feels pretty good. All different buys of my running back, like I was saying, really consistent, high weekly floor guy with Rice at receiver one. I think that feels pretty good. And now I feel really, really strong in my top three running backs. Hopefully I'm flexing a running back every week with these three. Yeah, that feels pretty good, I think. Two guys named Panther in here, potential collusion setting up, or just Carolina boy infiltrating Underdog. Yeah, no, I noticed that. I noticed that pretty quick too. Always a little scary when you see names too similar, like the Davis Himmer, either brother duo or father son duo, whatever they may be. But yeah, there's a couple that are a little bit, a little bit concerning when you see them in the lobby. The names are a little bit too close. Collusion, unless our team is sick, lol. Yeah, exactly, exactly. I missed, but was able to back out. LOL. Genty also has that late buy. Yeah, no, that I think the late buy definitely helps too. When you're getting a week 13 versus like, I don't know, like CMC, you're getting week 8. Giant Taylor, I guess, is the same, but like most of these other guys are earlier buys, right? Week 13 is like one of the latest you can get. So that always does feel pretty good. And my other guys were a little bit early, so nice knowing I'll have Genty to carry me through Chase Brown and Scadaboo's buy if my team is still alive. So yeah, no, that's a good point too. That's a little bit of a boost. So is JT, yeah. Sure Zero love JT too. Yeah. No, I mean, and hey, me too. I love me some JT. We're on a little bit of a Genty kick this weekend. Um I don't know. I was watching some Kurt Rambis. It makes me want to get Genty. It makes me want to get Genty. I like the Hartman auction voice to get through LMAO. Yeah, no, we were trying to rip through. That was $1, $2, but yeah, we were trying to get through quick. But no, I think what did you say? Thanks, bro. I was stuck between Juwan and Samson. Yeah, no, I think that was pretty fair to go Juwan, right? Because Juwan's hitting your lineup more often, probably hitting your flex more often than Samson would hit his like RB2 or flex. So I think that's pretty fair. Like yeah, I think that's pretty fair to go with Juwan there over Samson. That makes sense to me. All right. So what am I looking at here? I will probably look at. I mean, Loveland would be fine. It seems like I guess this must be pretty normal for him to fall back here in this format, though. Uh, DJ Moore. I don't mind DJ Moore. I don't have any week 7 buys. It is a different buy for me. I also don't mind Christian Watson. They said DJ Moore is settling in as Allen's top target, though. So we'll grab DJ Moore. I think him and Christian Watson are both good picks, but I do want a little bit more DJ Moore. Totally different buy than my other guys, which always feels good. I think he feels fine there. It's really just him or Christian Watson. I think top receiver was what made the most sense. Loveland could have definitely made sense too, but I think top receiver made the most sense there. So that feels pretty good. Um, Hartman wants to rage bait Sentex again. Hartman wants to rage bait Sentex again. Why? What did I say? What did I say to rage bait Sentex? I don't actually know. I have seen, Sentek's been in my chat a few times though. Mostly it's just like if I pick a player that he doesn't like I don't even know how long he was watching, but he'll be like Gunner Helm, angry face. I'm like, fuck. Like Tex didn't approve. I'm fucked. But we all know that, and Tex knows too. BBG is the only streamer that knows that it fucking lick a ball. So Tex will tell you himself. But I'm from, I try to learn from BBG, so I might be getting there. Um, no, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? I need to pay attention. I need to lock in. Christian Watson, Rome, Jaden Daniels. I mean, I love me some Jaden Daniels, but I think we'll pass on him. I think I can. I don't know. I think Christian Watson falling a little bit. I was thinking about him over DJ Moore. I think that makes me feel way better with this receiver room. Where if I go Jaden and then I push it down into that, Tyson's not too bad. I don't mind Tyson back here, but into that DK, even like Alec Pierce, Makai Lemon, I think I feel way less confident than I do with Watson as my 3. So I think he feels better there than the quarterback, but a lot of times I am considering Jaden or Rome. I mean, Rome was a good pick too there. But we opt for Christian Watson, get the third receiver, go a little bit more balanced at my skill positions. Yeah, and I have Tyson, so Fatal Lave and Ping Pong Saints. Yeah, no, there you go. I mean, that can definitely work. Hey, I mean, the Saints might be a good team for that. I mean, I'm willing to bet in on the offense, right? So, maybe you are too. I mean, or you are too, but maybe that's the right move. Maybe that's the right move. I'm kind of with him on Gunner, not gonna lie. On Gunner Helm. Yeah, no, I mean that's fair. That's fair. Gunner Helm is just a guy. I will admit that. He's not that special. It's just that the runway is so clear. He put up a decent That's the thing, right? Chig was there. I know Chig was hurt some of last year. But I mean, Gunnar Helm still had a decent year, right? Like he came on later. I don't know, 44 for 357 too. It's nothing crazy, but like with Chig there as a rookie, I don't know. I think they invested a decent amount in him. I think the runway is totally clear. I just think, he could be a guy that puts up like 600 to 700 yards, 6 to 8 touchdowns. I mean, is that crazy? Can he be Jake Ferguson? Can Gunnar Helm be Jake Ferguson in the 16th round? That is what I'm asking you. And I think the answer is yes. I think the answer is yes. Maybe that's having a little bit too much faith in Gunnar Helm, but I do think the competition leaving will definitely help a lot. All right. I think it's Justin Herbert here. Easiest pick of my life. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Justin Herbert, I think pretty easily. I like him a lot more than these other QBs. I think he's closer to the I think Justin Herbert's is closer to the Hurts, Williams, Prescott tier than he is to the tier after. Maybe you could argue like T Law, where does he fit in? But I just like Herbert a lot where he goes. I think, like I said before, totally happy taking him on stacked. Don't really care in the eliminator. But I think just getting a real solid locked in QB like that at a lot more reasonable price feels good always. I do think I had already hit the big fall off at like receiver and running back. So then it made more sense to pivot away versus like doing it when Watson was on the board. I think grabbing Herbert there, I like that a lot more than grabbing like Jaden over Watson. I think I much prefer the 2v2. I mean, with the Genty, he lost at Goofy Stream. Uh, oh yeah, yeah. Hartman wants to rage bait text again. I mean, with the Genty, he lost at Goofy Stream. Yeah, yeah. No, that's true. He was kind of hating. Why? See, but I sniped them on Genty. They did the Eliminator first, and I took him at the 101 because I got in their Eliminator, and I took Genty 101. Shout out Rambus. Um, but I did take it from him, so I kind of saved Tex in that one, to be honest. Because Tex I don't think wanted the Genty, but he was kind of hating on the Genty. May Snipe was diabolical. All right, let's see what the May Snipe was. May Snipe. Oof, May right here. Who has AJ Brown? Do you? Oh yeah. I mean, it was quite a bit before you, but yeah, May at 64, a little bit diabolical. It seems like the quarterbacks are just pushed up a little, right? Damn, Jackson Dart at 87. You have neighbors? No. Oh no, yeah, you're in the chat. You don't have neighbors. Who picked neighbors? Where'd neighbors go? I our Balco. You ever notice it's never the people that you actually know their names who are taking Malik Neighbors in the eliminator in the 4th round? Like you never see like zero fucks or even like, mute bars are in the chat. You're not seeing these people take neighbors in the eliminator, but it's always just the randos really price protecting. I hate seeing neighbors fall this late too, but man, taking them in the eliminator this early, that just seems like a death sentence. I don't know. I I can't get behind that. I mean, maybe he's back earlier than we think. There's no guarantee he missed a bunch of time, but oh yeah, Mason Snipe was a little diabolical when you took Genty 101. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, that one was pretty good. I loved doing stuff like that. But yeah, it's always good if you can get a reaction out of it. It makes it all worth it. And especially like that, where like it's not even really a snipe, it's more just hurting my own team. So it's like, well, it's kind of just funny, It's like when you snipe a guy, sometimes they get mad, but it's like you can't even get mad about me taking Genty 101, even though I did kind of snipe him. He's probably just K Dotting on a worse offense. Yeah, yeah, I mean probably, but I guess that's what I've said. Like, 'cause I have compared them before. I guess the idea with Gunnar Helm, they've said this summer or this like spring, summer, whatever, that like he was a big improver. They're really happy with his improvement. Blah blah blah. I guess the thing is, I have a little bit more hope that he can improve where K. Dotton is just a guy, and I guess that's why I tend to lean him over K. Dotton. But I do agree that they're actually pretty similar. I guess I'm just willing to think like maybe Gunnar Helm can take a step, really improve, or just like, not even really improve, but just with more routes, be like a decent pick where he goes and improve a little. Uh I think we are once again picking Rashad White. Yeah, let's get some Rashad White in here. Why not? Oh, shit. I accidentally clicked the star button again. All right, Rashad White. Yeah, no, that feels good. Totally different buy. You know, I do have a little bit of week 7 going at receiver now. I'll have to avoid it there. That is 2 of my guys. At least it is my 4th guy, but my second guy has it too. So week 7 I'll have to avoid a little, but I'm not super worried about it. I don't think it's like super heavy capital. You know, it's my RB4, my receiver 4, and then just my receiver 2. Obviously Herbert as well, but quarterback's pretty easy to cover by. Um so you know, maybe a little bit more week 7 than I would like, but I think it's okay as long as I kind of avoid it from here on out. I should be fine. Um but really like grabbing Rashad White there. Who's your favorite first round pick? It is probably Jonathan Taylor. My favorite is Jahmyr Gibbs. My favorite is Jahmyr Gibbs, but you know that's pretty obvious. He's the 101. It's probably Jonathan Taylor. I have quite a bit of him. I also like Genty a lot. I think to me, let me make this pick and I'll kind of talk about it a little bit. I don't mind Kyler Murray at all. I don't mind Kyler Murray at all. You know, 5th running back is a little interesting, but I do think I'm pretty strong at running back. So I think second quarterback makes sense. Grab it again in this tier before they kind of run out. Really like Kyler Murray. Didn't really have a stack with. I could have taken a stack Jordan Love over Kyler. I think I like Kyler more. You know, maybe the stacked Love is a little better. It's the Eliminator. I'm not as worried about stacking. A little bit debatable there if I should have went the other way, but oh yeah, back to this. Sorry. Who's my favorite first rounder? I think it's Jonathan Taylor. I also like Genty a ton. It's one of those two. I think the biggest thing to me is I'm not a huge fan of JSN at cost. I think he's totally fine, but he just needs such crazy volume to pay that off. I don't have as much faith in the whole offensive system without Kubiak there. I think it's a big part of it for me too. I do think JSN will be fine. I just think there's a chance he might slightly underperform that ADP. Where I feel like Taylor and Genty, well, Taylor especially, if Daniel Jones is healthy, I feel like Taylor's just a great pick in the first round. Like 20 touchdowns last year. Obviously, he ran a little bit hotter than maybe he normally will, but just how efficient he was in that offense week over week. He still has the ability to have breakaway plays. He can play all 3 downs. One of the highest work rate guys in the NFL. Him and CMC really are like the highest snap share guys in the NFL. And I think Taylor is still in his prime years, still has the juice and the explosiveness like CMC doesn't. So I'm kind of willing to pick Taylor, like even all the way up at 5. And that gives me a kind of a heavy exposure on him. And then with Genty, I really like buying into the Kubiak offense. I think having Kirk and Mendoza there is a huge upgrade. I think just having like a real coaching system, like a actual good modern offense instead of Chip Kelly, Pete Carroll. You know, Pete Carroll's son was the fucking O-line coach. Their O-line was garbage. They were moving guys all around. Had a ton of injuries. Colton Miller missed a ton of the year. It's like, you know, they bring in an all-star center. They bring in like they have other guys returning from injury. You know, they brought in a little bit of help in the draft as well. I think that we see the O line improve. We just see that team as a whole improve. We see the play calling improve. And I think we just see Genty get that crazy usage, just like he did last year, just on an actual like somewhat decent offense. And I think Genty and Taylor are my 2 favorite clicks, kind of for those reasons. Um, and then to the top 4 guys, though, I don't really ever go out of ADP order from Gibbs, Bijan, Chase, and Puka. Those guys, I will pretty much just follow ADP and go with whichever one is near the top of ADP. We went Isaiah Likely. I was a little debating receiver or tight end, decided to switch it last second to the tight end. I don't really think either one would have been a bad call because there's still other receivers coming up though that I like. That's why I decided to flip it to tight end because I still think I have a few different receivers I like coming up. So, you know, hopefully I get one back where tight end I was a little bit less sure. Some of these guys also don't have one yet. So that feels good there. Number 26, like Yo Hurt. Hey, what's up, Fancy Dog? Thanks for stopping by, bro. Appreciate it. Well, how's it? How's your Sunday going? Yeah, if Gunnar Helm is just Jake Ferguson, I'll just take Jake Ferguson on a better offense. I mean, yeah, Jake Ferguson on a better offense, fucking 80 picks higher, 60 picks higher. I mean, yeah, you know, if Sam Laporta is good, why don't I just take Brock Bowers? You know, he's even better. Um, But yeah, I mean, Jake Ferguson is a lot more expensive. Would be kind of the gist there. It's like the whole Luther Burden pick, hoping he basically becomes Zay Flowers. Why not just draft Zay Flowers? Man, if Luther Burden's Zay Flowers, then I don't want to fucking draft him ever again. I'm hoping he's better than Zay Flowers could ever dream of becoming. I'm hoping Luther Burden can actually get more than like 6 touchdowns in a season. You know what I'm saying? Something Zay Flowers could never dream of. But we'll go Jalen Coker here. What is Zay's best? What is Zay's best touchdown season in his life? Five, five, 4, 5. How many touchdowns did Luther Burden have as a rookie, not getting much playing time? He had 2. I think he can get up to the Zay level and maybe even above in touchdowns. You know, Zay never had a good touchdown rate in his life. That I think that's kind of the thing. I don't hope Luther Burden's Zay. I hope he's better than Zay. Um, Hey dude, Zero. Hey Fancy Dog, we're out here grinding elims. Hell yeah, hell yeah. It's the only thing they got in the lobby that's good, so we're grinding them. I see you, Shamrock. Yes, sir. GameStop my Purdy too. Same guy. Hater alert. Hating on greatness, Zero. Yeah, no. See, they see that green badge Zero has, and they know they got to try to stop him. They can't let him win. He's got the horns. He's got the green badge. We gotta, we gotta stop this guy at all costs. Us other guys are just honest guys, honest drafters trying to make, honest days working here. Zero's a sweat in the lobbies with his green badge. We got to fight back. The Helm situation is all about Ward, of course. Yeah, no, I agree. And I'm definitely buying it on Ward. So that's definitely part of it as well. Vance Dog, what up? My favorite first rounder is Zay Flowers. I just don't need to draft him that high, thankfully. Fair enough. Fair enough. Oh, totally hard on the pulpit. That's why I'm here. Yeah, no, sometimes, right, you gotta stand up on your soapbox, and when they start offending your deeply held takes, you gotta get on the soapbox. Bijan greater than Gibbs, MIO, week 17, all that matters. I mean, it's not like the Bears are the GOATs. The Bears do have a pretty good run defense. Fair enough, Fancy Dog. I'll give it to you. I mean, Saints is a lot better matchup than Bears. So I will give you that one, especially if you're saying week 17 is all that matters. I'm not gonna hate too hard on that take. 5+1 rushing touchdowns. He's had 6 total touchdowns twice. Hey, he's going in the 3rd round. Is that not a little bit scary? I mean, he paid it off. He was like a wide receiver 12 last year. I'm hating a little bit on Zay, I'll be honest. But yeah, I don't know. Do I want Gadsden? I don't even really like Gadsden that much. I like Juwan more. I like Brandon Strange even more than either of them. Let's go Brandon Strange. I know it's another week 7, but at tight end, not really worried. I don't think that's too big of a deal to have them kind of spread out at different positions like this. I think receiver is the only one where it's kind of hurting me with 2 week 7s. But the other positions, I'm not as worried. It does kind of make my overall team a little bit weaker, but I think it's okay. I could have went Joanna and got different bye week. I was thinking about that, but I do like Strange more than either of those guys by a decent amount. So we go Strange there. 0 with the stats, TY. Yeah, no, I mean he has, yeah, it's just I don't know. I mean, that's not that good. I mean, it's okay. Luther Burden of Chicago and Monra, he might be. He very well could be. He very well could be. LOL, stop him on my. Oh, fuck. Good thing Zay has Doyle now. Old school Monken prefers old school metrics like size. See, and that is true. No, a new coordinator, new system, it definitely could change it for Zay. And I will admit, I was hating a little, but realistically, if we look at Zay and not just the touchdown numbers, you look at the target volume, look how efficient he was on those reception numbers. He was I believe wide receiver 12 last year, 11 overall, something like that. So Zay, even where he goes right now, he goes about fair price for what he did last year. Wide receiver 14, so right around fair price for what he did last year. And if the touchdowns do uptick a little bit for him on, a really good offense, super high touchdown rate quarterback, just not as much to him, but maybe it does lean a little bit more his favor with a highly variant stat like touchdowns. He could really smash, right? He has the yards, he has the receptions, he has the explosiveness. He can definitely hit big plays. Do I want a third QB? Or do I just want Debo or something? I guess Debo is cool. I needed a receiver anyway, right? To help me cover that week 7 bye. I guess Debo's fine. A tight end would have been fine. I'm probably good stopping at 2 QBs with this, so I was kind of thinking I probably don't need Rodgers. You know, he would have been fine, but I think these 2 sorry. These 2 should be good enough. You know, kind of earlier bye weeks, which I don't love, but should be good enough to get me through. Maybe if Gino or something wants to come back, maybe I still throw on the third, but if not, I think I'm happy stopping at 2 with Herbert and Kyler. I think that's plenty strong. All right, let's go back down here. With Njoku, add Gadsden is still overpriced, right? He never fell, did he? No, he fell because Gadsden originally. I mean, this is Eliminator, so maybe it's a little bit different. I'm not exactly sure how different his price is, but like, so this one he definitely fell. Some he went around 160, but he was going like around like where Ferguson goes, even kind of around like Andrews. Like I believe Gadsden was closer to that 120 range early. And then he's kind of fallen more into like the 140s. And then like you'll also get a lot of rooms where he just kind of falls past that individually too. So he took a tumble, you know, he took a tumble of maybe like 15 to 20 spots, I believe. Um, but I still do agree he's probably a little bit overpriced. I actually think like I feel like right now, like we'd be in a pretty appropriate range for Gadsden. I think like Gadsden versus Hawk, Gadsden versus Helm, Gadsden versus Dulcich. Those are all like probably leaning towards Gadsden to me. But that's even a little bit tough to say, you know, like what's his role really going to be? He can spike in some big games, but I don't know. He was just like, he was only effective in so few games last year. I guess that's what worries me. And he can win downfield and hit big plays, but like his route participation was really low. And he also got a lot of his scoring in like blowouts and garbage time. Um, so I don't know. I feel like there's a couple underlying things that worry me with Gadsden too. Did I want the Geno? Probably not. Let's get the GOAT Gunnar Helm. We were talking about him. We were talking him up all day. You know, no, we weren't, but we were talking about him a little bit. Let's get him. He's the GOAT, basically K Dotton, except for younger with a better team and a better quarterback. So, you know, we love that. Um, but but no, I don't know. Gunnar Helm is a third. I think it's totally fine. You know, likely. I don't know. I'm not a huge likely guy, but I think he's fine where he goes. And you know, he definitely could have a huge role the first couple weeks if Neighbors is out. Even if Neighbors is in, it's not like they have the most talented offense. So likely's fine. I think Strange is good. He has a good role in that offense. And then Gunnar Helm hopefully has a good role. Hopefully he's getting a ton of routes out of tight end. Maybe he runs a little hot with touchdowns, but a lot of that is also a bet on Cam Ward and the Titans offense. So I think that feels fine though. I feel pretty good with this team so far. Um, I just want one more running back and then 2 more receivers and then call it good. I think that should probably be fine. We will go Dontavian Wicks. We could go Tesla. We could go Zach Branch. You know, rookies a little bit lower in this format, but it's not like Atlanta really has all that much to compete with Zach Branch. Let's be real. Who's going to take away snaps exactly? Um, I have a lot of Wicks. You know, does Wicks get playing time early? Maybe this is actually a good contest to take Wicks. Now I'm thinking about it. Because if I'm going to take Wicks, why not the Eliminator? When they have a rookie coming in, right? Maybe Mekhi Lemon takes over more. Maybe it is more Lemon and Smith later in the year. But maybe Wicks on the field early in the year, you know, playing a ton of snaps while Lemon's getting used to the NFL speed. And maybe Wicks gets me, you know, deep downfield winner one week and actually hits my lineup or something. So I don't mind that in Eliminator. I think he might actually be a decent pick in this. Obviously, he's also a new player to that team, but as an NFL vet, maybe he adapts a little quicker, gets on the field a little quicker, takes Lemon, you know, a couple weeks to get on the field. I don't mind it. I think he's a fine pick. I mean, it's my 7th receiver too. Like, you know, it's not like it's the end of the world. Um, if the team isn't injured and no internal issues, the franchise is gonna smash, bro. Um, oh, with Njoku, yeah. Okay, LOL, the GOAT, LMAO, laughing. Fuck, I don't even know what I said. Oh, Gunnar Helm, probably, because I picked Gunnar Helm and I said the GOAT. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it was good timing. It was good timing. You know, sometimes I do take Patty Fry over him, but it was good timing for him. You know, and I think Helm, Fryermuth, Otten, like you take any of them as your third, you just feel good that that's a guy who's probably getting a good amount of routes. Maybe you feel less confident in the Titans offense than the other two, but you at least feel like it's a guy who's going to be on the field running good amount of routes, can get luckier on touchdowns, but will get usage in the red zone most likely. Should run a good amount of routes. I don't think any of these guys have real big competition. I mean, Fryermuth has the biggest competition with Big Darnell, but as far as actual route competition, I don't think any of these guys have anyone too concerning. Centex Legend, he'll tell you about Daniel Bellinger, but and a lot of people are hyping up Big Darnell, but I think Big Darnell will get some. I just think they're going to run a lot of 12 personnel. I don't think it's going to take away too much from Fryermuth. Um, so I don't really think the thesis for Darnell takes away too much from Fryermuth. I think Jonnu being gone kind of just makes them both maybe a little bit viable. And then Otten, I really maybe they I don't know. Do the Buccaneers have another tight end that matters that I've ever heard of, or no? They got Payne Durham, and Devin Culp. So Kate Otten's pretty weak competition as well. Um, so yeah, I think I like those guys mainly for that reason. Just not really worried about their route share, not really worried about their participation. Maybe you worry about all the talented receivers on some of those teams taking away a lot of the work, but at least these guys will be on the field. They'll be on the field. They'll be running routes at the very least. And as a third tight end, you can't ask for too much more than that. All right. Do we just take the guy Katron? Do we take Jordan James? Decisions. Let's take Katron. He'll probably be starting week 1. So I have Rashad White again. Let's grab Zach Branch first. We'll grab the rookie, super late pick, but we'll grab that 8th receiver right there, and then we'll figure out a running back on the way back. I don't want to do Katron and Rashad White again. I already did that once today. So we'll do something different. Damon Claiborne, will he play a snap? Probably not, but we could pick him. That could be interesting. Jordan James. Jordan James is fine. I lean a little bit more towards him being the backup for CMC right now. I think that's kind of what the reporting is leaning towards. He goes anyway, so whatever. But I lean a little bit more towards him as the backup, but I do think it's a little bit risky right now. There's no guarantee of who the backup in San Francisco will be, so I don't know. Don't mind getting sniped on him. Uh, Realistically, we're probably not picking Damon Claiborne. Let's be real. This is Eliminator after all. I mean, Patron or Marshawn Lloyd? Katron or Marshawn Lloyd? That is the real question here in the Eliminator that we're facing. Not really the spot you want to be in the Eliminator. Let's get a little bit more Marshawn Lloyd. He's healthy so far. Maybe he can even make it all the way to week 1 for once in his life. Maybe not, but at least my top 4 running backs were pretty good. I was just kind of taking a contingent upside swing. So not super worried about who that 4th guy was. A lot of times I'm taking my guy Katron, but I already had the Rashad White piece, so that's fine. That's chill. Not too worried about it. All right. So I'll catch up with you guys, and then I'll look at the teams, and then I'm probably gonna be heading out. I think we got in 3 eliminators today. I think that's a good amount of eliminators for me. Pretty happy with that. But I'll catch up with you guys quick, and then go over the teams, and then I'll probably be heading out. And Joku, I was talking about Zay. Oh, got you. With yeah, he's gonna smash, bro. Yeah. Is Clement still part of the Chicago offense? I think he's still part. I think he'll be running some 12. I think he'll get on the field. You could definitely put Komet into some Chicago stuff if you really wanted to at the end. I'm not sure how much I'm actually picking him right now, but I think especially if you play on like a DraftKings, a Drafters, a 20 round format, I think you could throw him in here and there. He'll be on the team. I don't think he's much of a risk of getting cut at this point. Maybe there's a chance, but I think he'll still be on the team. He should still have a role in the offense. I think Komet's a reasonable pick, especially in 20 round formats. If you really need a tight end or you have Chicago stuff, I think it's reasonable. But, Loveland is an elite tight end. He's going to be taking a lot of the work. Komet, you're really just hoping for maybe a couple of touchdowns or something throughout the year. But Komet's not a bad tight end. And in a 20 round format, it could work out. Cup snipe hurt me. Yeah, no, it always hurts. You lose the chaperone of all chaperones. What's up, Hartman? Hey, what's up, Gab for Life, Young Moolah? Thanks for stopping by, bro. Appreciate it. And check out GAB Sports if you don't know. He's streaming. He's actually been streaming quite a bit, almost every day lately. Nobody notices but me. UD keeps changing. M Wash LVRB projected points from 121 to 57 back and forth. Really? Huh. I'll have to keep an eye on that. What are we at right now? Are we in the good or the bad? Mike Washington, he's projected for 121. So if we see it switch to 57, we'll know they were doing some fuckery. But all right, good to know, Fantasy Dog. Good to know the ranks people at UD. They're up to something. They're acting suspicious. I'll pay attention. Yeah. See, thanks for bringing it to our. Sorry, thanks for bringing it to our attention. Now we can actually keep an eye on these guys. You're on some Sherlock Holmes shit. Yeah, I would have never noticed that. I'm guessing maybe at the end you switch your projections to projected points instead of ADP, like somewhat often, and then it happened before where Mike Washington was there, then he like disappeared the next draft or a different day or something. They've done it like 4 to 5 times at least. Wow, wow, that's crazy. I wonder what's up with that. Are Josh and Hayden just like up late night, just just like sitting there arguing over the Mike Washington projected points. One of them has them for 50, one of them has them for 120. They just can't decide. So they're sneaking in, changing it back and forth on each other. Who knows? It is a big conspiracy though. This could go all the way to the top. But all right. It is a little interesting though. It is a little interesting though, Fancy Dog. But all right, so we'll look at my team and look at my team, Zero's team, Kale Elliott, and then Mute Bars. And if anyone else is in here, let me know because I might not know the UD name or whatever. But we'll look at those teams and then we'll head out. Oh, and I think Who Hames is live right now too. If anyone wants to go check that out, I think PPR Tyler is also live in a little bit. If anyone wants to check that out, so definitely lots of good stuff to watch. Yeah, Michael O'Hara, he's live right now. So if you want to check him out, he was on the Tout Show. He was doing some streams with PPR a week or two ago. So if you want to check him out, definitely go check him out. But but all right, so I'll go through my team and your guys, then heading out. So 2583 for me, Justin Herbert, Kyler, totally good 2 QB room. Like getting that third, but didn't get it this time. I think it's fine stopping at 2. Genty, Chase Brown, Scadabo, Rashad White, Marshawn Lloyd. I think it's a good enough running back room. I think my top 4 are pretty strong. My top 3 are actually like really strong, and then I think Rashad White's like good fourth, like a totally fine fourth. Lloyd's obviously, just a contingent guy. Does he even make it to the start of the season? We'll see, but could have some upside. Some question marks around Jacobs right now still, so feels decent. I like the running back room quite a bit though. Strong double anchor and then a good third, pretty good fourth for the fourth. So like that. Rashi, Moore, Christian Watson, Quentin Johnston, Jalen Coker, Debo, Dontavian Wicks, Zachariah Branch. I think my receiver room's fine. It's maybe taking a little bit of risk. Like Rashi's probably pretty safe as long as he's healthy and on the field, but DJ Moore, Watson, Quentin Johnston, I might get some pretty low weeks out of these guys, even Coker too. Like they might be a little bit more boom bust. It might hurt my floor at receiver. Might end up giving me multiple guys are kind of at the low end that week and really hurts me one week or something. That's all it takes in this format. So maybe would have liked a little bit more consistent guy up here in the middle with like one of my next 4 after Rice. But I think it's fine. It can definitely be good. Watson and Moore can be the ones on their team. Rice will be the one on his team. And then the other guys can give me big spikes if they kind of layer out right. So I think that's fine. Likely Strange Helm, decent tight end room, not great, but it should be enough to get the job done. Not great, but decent. So overall, I think my team is pretty good. I think receiver is what scares me the most. But my other positions all feel pretty good overall. Just maybe a little bit thinner team, like only 2 QBs, receiver depth a little bit scary. Like they don't have much floor to any of these guys. So I think it feels okay, but my floor feels a little bit scary. Which in Eliminator, you don't want to feel like the floor is too scary. So okay build, but not my best. Zero went 3-6-6-3. Caleb, Mahomes, Darnold, good QB room like that overall. Brees Hall, Chuba, Cal Monaghan, Tyler Algier, Sean Tucker, George Halani. It's okay, I mean, Monaghan's fine. He's gonna get some touches. Same thing with like Algier and Tucker are good where they go because they're gonna get some touches in this format. Brees Hall's probably a pretty good one. He should get most of the work. I think running back's a little bit weaker though. Depends what you think about Chuba. You know, for this team, Chuba's got to be RB1, right? But I think it can get by, but just not my favorite guys, maybe. But it can be okay. Um, it can be okay, especially if Chuba holds on as RB1. Then you're probably looking pretty good with it actually. So that's fine. Jamar, AJ Brown, Mike Evans, Burden, Bateman, Taekwon. Eh, I mean, I kind of wish you would have got a decent fifth instead of pushing the fifth that far. I think top four. I mean, obviously these are strong, but I wish maybe you could have got like at least a fifth, like better guy than Bateman, at least a fifth guy, will give you some points. Um, I mean, top four are really strong though, so that's kind of interesting. Kelsey, Andrew Schultz, good tight end room. I like tight end room. Uh, overall, not my favorite. I think the receiver room probably needs more than this because, like, just the one low week takes you out thing. You have some early buys with Evans and Jamar as well. I don't love that on those buys. You have to have all three of these other guys hit basically, because it's not very likely that it's going to be these guys hitting. Um, yeah, I don't know. It could get through, but I think receiver needed a little bit more help before Bateman. That's my opinion, though. Other rooms are all fine. Like I was saying with running back, it's probably good enough, especially with as much capital you spent on Chuba. Pressing him to be the starter, I think it's probably fine. But receiver is scaring me a little. Kale Elliott, 3573, Jordan Love, Rogers, Mendoza. Good enough, a little bit on the lighter side, but probably good enough. A little scary early year for like maybe some lower ceiling, lower floor. If you're relying on Rogers, Mendoza's still benched, maybe for the first month or something. Maybe he's not, but you know, could be a little bit weaker for the very beginning. But okay, quarterbacks. CMC, DeAndre Swift, Bashaw Tootin, Rico Dowdle, Woody Marks. Like the running back room a lot. Like Rico as your fourth, Tootin as your third's good. Got the hero kind of up top of CMC, but then really hammered it out in those middle rounds, early middle rounds, whatever. And then Woody as a fifth is strong even. So really like the running back room, really strong there. Drake London, Devonta Smith, Rome, Michael Pittman, Darnell Mooney, Stribling, Kirk. I think it's actually probably fine. It's pushing it a little. I wish you could have got a little bit. Let me see, tight end, Laporta, Kittle, Chig. I think maybe you put a little bit too much at tight end, and some of that could have went to receiver. Like a better fifth than Mooney, I think would have been nice. it, it's kind of like same thing like Zero had going. Like I know Pittman's a later fourth, but like these guys can maybe get you there. Like you did get London, who's high target volume. Hopefully Pittman's kind of similar. So I think these top four can maybe get you there, but I would have maybe liked to pass on one of these three tight ends and get a little bit better receiver, and then just throw one of those late receivers at like a worse third tight end. So kind of like maybe switching around some of that capital to me. But that receiver or that third tight end does give you a lot stronger flex. So I understand some of the benefit of that. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think overall it's a pretty solid build. Just like I was saying, maybe a little bit more at receiver in a general build, but I think it's fine overall. And that tight end room is really strong. You can definitely get some usable flex weeks out of there. So I understand, kind of pushing it more into that, going for that flex spot, especially if you're really relying on these top four guys to just cover those lineup spots. All right. Who else we have? We have mute bars, and I think that's it. If anyone else in here, let me know. So 3573, Jackson Dart, Bo Nix, Gino, totally good with that. Dart and Bo Nix is probably good enough. Throw on Gino, you got a faller, he'll at least give you some help early season, maybe. So don't mind that one. James Cook, Derrick Henry, Jadarian Price, Tyrone Tracy, Tank Bigsby. I think that's pretty solid. Really strong double anchor. You get Price as your third, might start a little bit slower, but you have that double anchor, so you can hold like you can eat it for a little bit if he is kind of splitting time before he like takes over or something. But Price probably a pretty good third. Tracy's a fine fourth. And then Bigsby is just a contingent upside guy, can really supercharge it if someone gets hurt. I think the running back room's pretty good. That's fine. Pretty good overall, actually, probably with the double anchor and Price. Olave, Garrett Wilson, Brian Thomas, Cortland Sutton, Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker, Tank Dell. I like the receiver room overall. I think that's pretty good. Like pretty solid capital, just kind of down the board, just kind of going back to receiver like every other round or so. Yeah, I think that's solid. I like all the top 5 basically. I mean, even top 6, like, with Tucker, but, like, all your guys that matter are really good, so, like that, quite a bit. Juwan, Gadsden, T. Ferg, ended up kinda weak at tight end, but if you're gonna pick a room to be weak at, it should be tight end. Uh, it's fine, you're probably gonna have a little bit lower floor, but it's good enough, and all those guys can spike, so especially Gadsden and T. Ferg, so I think it's fine. It's gonna be a little bit on the weaker side, like, floor-wise, but should be good enough. Receiver I liked, running back I liked, quarterback I liked, so, yeah, I think really solid team overall. I mean, if the only thing I'm really nitpicking is that tight end feels a little bit weak, then, it's probably a pretty good team, 'cause, if you're gonna make anything weak, it should be tight end, so, yeah, I like that team overall, pretty solid. Um, alright. We like it here, good enough. That's top flight. That is a tough, tough team. Hey, appreciate it. Hopefully it was my team. It might have been zeros, but oh, maybe it was zeros. But yeah. Yeah, no, hey, I mean, this is gonna be a hard lobby, hope at least it's 6 out of 12. So at least some of us will make it through. Hopefully all of us make it through. But no, it's always tough in these lobbies. It's gonna suck when Kyler gets bench week 11. For who? For who? You think nine starting? Brother, I don't know if nine's ever gonna play another NFL snap in his life. Um, love Chuba. Hell yeah. My hammer and a limb. Hey, and he's falling right now. So if that's your hammer, I don't mind it. Used in importantly. Now I wanted to cup though. Yeah, strong team. Yeah, no, zero cooked. 7 at 6 receivers is always tough at 6 different buys. I think the spacing can work. Can you look at Fazul? Oh, what's up, Anthony? Thanks for having my bro. Yeah, sure. Um, and if you guys are enjoying the content, please consider liking and subscribing. Doing live streams often. Yeah, let's check out Fazul. 2682, Josh Allen, Tyler Shuck. I think that's good at QB. You got QB1, so anyone in that range of Tyler Shuck, like even a little bit later would probably be fine. But anyone that Tyler Shuck, Baker, Malik Willis range, you're good with that with Josh Allen. Jeremiah Love, Trevion, Blake Corum, Tyjae Spears, Zach Charbonnet, Nick Singleton. I think it's I think it's okay. It's not my favorite. What it is, I think the capital allocation all makes sense to me. It's not my favorite names in Eliminator, where like Trevion and Love, I guess I worry about like Algier getting some work or the Cardinals just having these really low games being such a bad offense. And then with Trevion, it's kind of like, well, if anything happens to Stevenson or if he takes on more of the role as a year goes, he starts putting up 30s and starts going crazy. And I just feel like I don't like either of these bets quite as much in Eliminator. I think Corum's still a fine pick. He's splitting a lot. I think Kaiju was a fine pick. Charbonnet, I'm pretty much never touching an Eliminator, honestly, because odds are he won't be back. I mean, it's so late. It's your fifth RB. Like, that's fine. But I just don't love the archetypes you picked. I wish maybe like you had a guy with a little bit more security, especially like with Trevion. I feel like a lot of the thesis with him is like you're kind of playing it for later in the year. Like he's almost assuredly going to start out with a little bit lesser workload than his draft price probably indicates, right? Because Ramondre will be fully healthy, he'll be getting a lot of work as well. Um, so I think the RB room is okay capitalized, but I don't love the Jeremiah Love Trevion. Maybe that's a little bit of my personal bias though, but that's kind of my thoughts there. But I think the capital is fine. I think the top four are like fine. They're just not my favorite like style of guys, but I think capital wise makes sense. JSN, Ladd, Parker Washington, Michael Wilson, Matthew Golden, Eddie Mitchell, Isaac Tesla, Ted Hurst, Warren Kincaid. So tight end room's good. Yeah, Josh Allen, Shuck. I think receiver's pretty good. Yeah, receiver's pretty good. If anything, let me see. Yeah, no, I mean, I think receiver's pretty good. I was gonna say maybe you could have put one of these later picks at running back instead of receiver, because the receiver felt pretty solid with like the top guys. But I think it's fine how you spent the capital. So I think overall, I like your team. I like the tight end room. I like the receivers. I like the quarterbacks. I think that the running backs, they worry me a little But I think where you spent your capital, how you kind of structured this team and built it is pretty solid overall. I just I don't think they're my favorite running backs in this format, but that's more player take. Like I think construction wise, you did pretty well. Um, yeah, yeah. So I think construction wise, you did pretty well. So hopefully, I kind of explained my thoughts decently, at least on it. Um, you think I can compete with Big Dog Hartman's team, Fantasy Dog? The question is, can anyone compete with the big dog? Mere mortals, we are. Zero fucks. Missing your streaming, my friend. Hell yeah, hell yeah. Hey, and yeah, that's a good point, Fantasy Dog. Shout out Zero if anyone knows or if anyone doesn't know. He's over there on the streams, fantasyfitness.io. If you don't know that YouTube channel, check him out. You can see our boy Zero on the stream live in color, and you could be giving him shit in chat. You see him doing it, you could give him taste his own treatment. I've done it a few times. It's always a good time. We can only hope, Fantasy Dog, but that's why we go to the classroom, to the lab, and apply what we've learned. Hell yeah, brother. LOL. Hopefully, nah. See, Fantasy Dog's one of those guys talking down to yourself, but we know you cook when you get in these lobbies. We know Fantasy Dogs is sharp. I'm heavy on T-Ferg. I respect that. I think T-Ferg's a good pick. It's just the floor might be a little bit more risky early because like what's his snapshot right away? Does Parkinson still get some early and maybe T-Ferg takes over more? Um, but yeah, I mean I think T-Ferg is I think he's a good pick where he goes. I just worry an eliminator a little, but like I think he's a good pick. So Azul. Yep. And we got it. We got it. Yeah. Yeah. And if you ever drafted me, if you ever hop in, as long as I know you're in there, I'll always check out the team pretty much, stuff like that. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the stream, enjoyed hopping the drafts, 2 IVM. Oh yeah, no problem, of course. Yep, agree on Allen, BU take, stop at Willis. Oh yeah, Allen with the second quarterback. Yep. Hartman knows so much more than I do, you dudes here. That's right, Zero. That's right. Fantasy Dog is letting you know the truth. I'm trying to improve my listening and consumption skills. Hey, well, hey, we all follow a lot of content. We're all sharps in here. We're all trying to make each other a little bit better, right? Hey, you guys make me better too. It's like I see a lot of stuff in the chat, a lot of takes. Even if it's just like making me think through something that like I'm thinking, or it might be like a take I don't have and just kind of some pushback on it might make me think a little bit differently about something. So, hopefully it's all iron sharpens iron and make each other better. But thank you guys so much for stopping by. Thanks for drafting with me, chatting with me. Always a good time. If you're enjoying the content, please like and subscribe. Yeah, thanks for stopping by. I'll probably be back probably tomorrow night, maybe Tuesday, but probably tomorrow on Monday night. Yeah, thank you guys. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.